I'd like to convene the meeting of the Darien City Council for July 20th, 2026. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the roll.
Elzak, Gustafson,
Here.
Kenny,
Here.
Legansky.
Here.
Chower.
Here.
Stompanato.
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
6 present and 1 absent.
We have a quorum. Brings us to questions, comments, and announcements of a general nature. We put this on our agenda several years ago to allow people to address the city council on an item that may not be on this agenda. Now, tonight, we have a full room of people. I would assume there's probably people who want to talk about different issues. So what I'd first like to ask is how many people are here tonight who want to address the city council regarding the flooding that took place on July 4th? Please raise your hand. Okay. We're going to hear from those people first, okay?
3 minutes.
And how many of you plan on addressing the city council? Could you raise your hand?
Plan on addressing the city
No,
council?
no,
With the flooding,
regarding the flooding. Okay,
a few.
all right.
Okay.
Then let's begin. If somebody would like to come to the microphone regarding it, you just need your name.
And Joe, do you want to remind me about the 3 minutes?
We have a limit of 3 minutes per person.
Yes, sir. I'm familiar. Hi, my name is Joe Wycheck. Live in the South Grove area. Talk about flooding, not new flooding, flooding that has recurred many years. I've lived in the area about 26 years, and it has occurred, I won't say every year, but it has been increasingly occurring. Occurred this year, June 24th, and as we know, July 4th. And municipal services try to address this flooding. And it's approximately at the intersection of Stewart and Aylesworth Drive. Okay. Municipal services try to address this issue to remedy the flooding of the intersection by building a trench between 2 of my neighbors' houses that extends from from the sidewalk to a backyard swale area. And that was about 2,020 feet. 23, if I remember correctly. So to let you know, the trench did nothing to remedy the street flooding. However, it created a new problem. It increased the flow of water to the backyard swale area, and the flood water height reached a level where it inundated the electrical distribution nodes that have the transformers and other components in there, shorting out those components, causing power outages. Consequently, we got the water coming in, no electricity, some pumps don't work. Backup systems might only work for a limited amount of time. Not everyone has a generator. You gotta hope that it's gonna work when it starts. So I contacted ComEd about this, and they are gonna try to I'm trying to keep this brief. They're going to try to either relocate or raise the height of the one node that I'm familiar with that actually exploded. When they're going to get to it, I don't know. But that addresses the electrical outage problem, but it does nothing for the flooding problem, and that's what I want municipal services or the city of Darien, whoever wants to take authority over that, to do it. Something has to be done because none of us residents want to get nervous about what's going to happen whenever we're going to have a storm. And they're getting increasingly more severe, more extreme. Now, the once in a 100-year floods, now it's a couple times a year. So we need to have that addressed. So thank you very much.
Joe, did your house get water?
Pardon me?
Did your house get water? I'm just curious. I didn't talk to you.
My backyard did get water, but my house did not. I do not have a basement, thank God.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else regarding the flooding? Please come forward. Just state your name.
Kyle Nicholas, 7618 Gale Avenue. We unfortunately did get water, a lot of us on the street here. part here due to that. We all have basements. It seemed like there was some water coming in off of Cass Avenue. The catch basins all overflowed, causing a rush to the back of our houses. So I think my main question would be, how is the city prioritizing improvement funds to upgrade our local drainage system and preventing property flooding during heavy rains?
Dan?
Thanks for your question, and as a matter of fact, your location 1 on this topographical survey that I'm presenting tonight for City Council to authorize on the expenditure. Gale Avenue, 7618, you're one of the addresses, as well as others. What that will do is, that will determine how high the water was first of all. What's the maximum amount of water that it could possibly take on? What type of rain event was this? And how to mitigate it. That's the real question. I don't know, it's not a simple answer. I've got statistics which I'll present in a report later if you want to stick around. But I know I visited you and I understand that, and yes, we'll stay in contact with you as well.
Yeah, and I guess for the board, is there gonna be any funds available from the city on relief for property damage that possibly wasn't covered under insurance? It's a big question that I think a lot of us have here.
What we're doing is we're currently looking at the county and possibly the state for assistance. Nothing's been guaranteed. We're dealing with an issue with sanitary sewers that people had backup through the sanitary sewers, which are DuPage County. And right now, and a lot of those homes did not have overhead sewers. So the water was coming in through the toilets and through the sinks and things like that. And we're looking at the cost to install overhead sewers in those homes. And the county has a program right now where they will give people $5,000 reimbursement, but it's about $12,000 plumbing job to have it done. So we're looking, today I wrote our District 3 representatives, and I asked them to consider going to the county, using their authority as District 3 reps, to increase that $5,000 to maybe $10,000 to see what might be done. When we have an idea what the county is going to do, then we're gonna sit down and talk about what we might be able to do. Okay, Dan?
Mayor, just to expound on that, you're exactly right, and in conjunction with that, one of the things that we're looking at is with FEMA, is what the mayor was referring to, besides DuPage County, to see if there's any opportunities to have this declared as a disaster zone. Now, it was very localized. Many times with FEMA, you have to meet certain criteria, whether that criteria means that it has to be a certain section in the millions, not thousands, but it has to be in the millions, and there's a per capita rate as well. So those are questions that need to be answered. And again, this was very, very localized. I can't repeat that enough.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else regarding water?
So my name is Tapan Biswas and I have a house in Gale Avenue, what you mentioned. And you may or may not remember the last meeting, I think the June 20th or something, I came here. And exactly I raised that issue. And obviously Dan told me it's a problem with me, my backward landscaping is not right or something happened. But within 2 weeks, that disaster happened. All of the people's, their basement flooded, appliances destroyed.
Mr. Tapan, if I could interrupt, I do have you on here, the entire, actually several homes, including yours. And what I did say last time, this still stands as it refers to less rain events or less significant rain events that we had July 4th, okay? So there is a little bit of a grading concern that you do have on your
That's fine, yeah.
property, but we will be
I
surveying.
agree, but my question is, but I don't have the slide. So Cash is north-south, Gale is the just east of Cash parallel, then Linden, and then Brookhaven. If you look at that, if you just go there, you'll see Cash is high, Plainfield is high, Brookhaven is high, and 79th, I'm not sure, still high. So normal situation when the water comes, it goes no problem. When the heavy water comes, just what happened the July 4th, last year exactly July 25th, exactly the same scenario. Heavy fall comes within an hour. They're nowhere, and I see that their drainage system is a 12 inches radius, like this size pipe. And rain when it's coming is almost like a Niagara Falls. Heavy rain, heavy water. And my first speaker told, at that time when the heavy rain coming, backyard everywhere is the water. Basically, home is an island, and nothing can be done. Who has a basement? Their glass door, so pressure is broken down. It's flooded everything. And it is happening exactly, I'm telling you that July 25th, 2025. It was in the news. And this is again July 4th is happening. So my question is that particular area, I don't know the other area, is very low. When the water comes, all water comes, and 12 inches pipe is nothing. And in fact, many of the houses, which is above the ground, the back of sewer is coming to the bathroom and flooding even like a high level of the flood. So my concern is, I'm not saying that blaming anybody, it is happening, first speaker told, used to be like a 2-3 years or 3 years later, but this is frequently happening. Even in a single year, is happening couple of times. And my question is that, I'm asking everybody, we have to concern about this, look at this and how to fix it. Because it is not like a single event, because the climate change or whatever the reason, it's frequently coming. And it will be again problem. So we have to address that issue. I'm requesting the council and the city just carefully and not that late, as quick as possible. Because it will happen again. And destroyed, basement destroyed, appliances destroyed, people live, they have a problem, the carpet, a lot of people affected. I'm just what I'm telling you. And exactly I came 2 weeks ago I came here, same issue. And I mentioned to Dan, I mentioned to Ryan about this, but only single voice, what can be done, it is probably looks like I have the only problem, rest of them is fine. But that happens. So my request, please consider our request and try to fix it as quick as possible.
Thank you. Anyone else regarding water?
Good evening. I think I know you, I know people. 7722, 6 feet of water. Everything is gone. 18 inches of water on my fence. Break window, flood everything. I lost everything now. Thank you for some pump for the supply. I pumping till 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, what we can do? I living over there since 1998. I protecting, I have some pumps, two battery backup, some pumps, you know, and still can protect this. I have $70,000 damage. What I have to do? Insurance going to pay me for window. Broken window. What, $200, $300? I have a question. Do we have, when is the line, some kind of booster pump pulling water from the sewer line?
No,
It's nothing there? Nothing helping?
no.
So then it's bad design to pump, to pipe. It's not, you can, if it's, whatever it is, you have to always 150, 200% oversize of the
Again,
regular rain.
with all due respect, you're getting into hydraulics now and where the water goes and where it stops and starts. So again, this study, you're on the study too, like I said, we're gonna provide answers. I don't have any answers for you right now. I can tell you putting in a bigger pipe is not the answer. That's
Then
not
you have
the
to some
answer.
kind of booster pump, whatever is helping, sucking this, like some pump.
Once again, we can't do that either by DuPage County Stormwater Ordinance. You're going into a engineering, hydraulics, what sounds basic is not what's allowed.
So what is my option? Sell house and
Well-
go somewhere else?
We'll get back to you after the study.
I don't know what can I say, man. You know, it's hard. 2 weeks non-stop working. I'm tired. Mentally, physically exhausted. Can you do something about this, please? You measured, you went over there, you see my house. I drying everything out so I can throw in a dumpster. Everything. What can I do? Who give me answer, please?
We will give you an answer. I can assure you of that. I don't know what the answer will be. It might even be a buyout of certain homes. It might be open land area after a while. It might be something else. It might be a modified storm sewers. I don't know. Because that's the low point of that block. Those 2 blocks. I can't tell you that.
Thank you.
Excuse me, he's on the same street? He's on Gale. I didn't catch
Anyone
it.
else want to talk about water?
Just got a couple things to say. Just to satisfy people and, having some sort of survey done, that's not, they got problems, okay? We all got problems there. The answer is not enough, the one you're given. Even to say that we're gonna have a survey done, you've got surveys that are sitting on the shelf somewhere that are the same surveys you're gonna be taking now. And what, they take out a farm, they put asphalt there and they're wondering why the ground ain't percolating? We have problems.
When I say survey, I want to make sure we're perfectly clear. These are engineering surveys to determine the amount of water that was recorded based on the marks. Those calculations will be put into what the design.
How long is that gonna take?
How long is that gonna take?
Yeah.
Probably about a month and a half, 2
Oh,
months.
Jesus. Really? So you just blew that guy off? I'm just asking you. Something's gotta be done quick because just for myself and the people on my block, we had 100-year rains in 2 weeks. I'm getting pretty old, I guess. So ComEd says, we're gonna do something, and we talked to a couple people. Joe, he's been the lightning rod for this whole thing. And they said, well, next year next year, we need something done quickly. We need you people to put the fire underneath ComEd because that's what we would call imminent danger.
ComEd we can work with. That's a simple
There's some
solution.
problems back there. The thing blew up twice. I was away on vacation and I came back to a flooded basement. Okay, I'm not the only one with problems here. But this is a crock. And that trapeze that you guys made in the back over there, where you carved out something and then it went directly into a berm and it sat there, the water sat there, and it's supposed to go into a storm and then go underneath the berm and then into the retention. Well, none of it went into the retention pond. So that thing ain't working. I don't know who's engineering all of this stuff, but I was a project manager.
I can tell you that the system we put in was never designed to take away the flooding off the roadway.
Right.
It was designed basically to help eliminate some of it in the footage. So instead of 3 foot, it went down to 1.5 feet.
But you're
The cause
opening
was
up to an area that
It
has a
opened up
bunch
to
of
an area that-
ComEd transformers.
It was the water was still going there. The amount of water that fell this time, there wasn't anything that we could have done
What about
about
the
it.
one 2 weeks before that?
Again, that one I won't argue, but I will, again, this is the first time, and again, not to be argumentative, we will call ComEd and
I'm getting a little bit,
we'll reach out to ComEd. If you wanna, I'll give you my card, you can call me in the morning. I have no problem coming out there with the ComEd External Affairs Director and addressing the issue.
dangerous.
That's
Not
understood.
just water, I'm talking dangerous. That poor guy was using 6 foot of water in his basement. And then you're gonna offer up an overhead sewer project?
That's not,
Come on.
that is not accurate. Wanna give me a call tomorrow? I'm more than happy to discuss it.
Anyone else regarding the flooding?
I'm Mike Heatherly. I live on Grand Street behind Brookhaven Shopping Center. And the water's higher than, I lived there 44 years. It never was any higher than it was on 4th of July. And none of the houses have basements to my knowledge in that subdivision. It got to like 6 feet away from the garage doors. What was interesting, at 7 o'clock, I drove into Brookhaven Shopping Center, which is a 3 foot drop off from the back of my lot to the alley behind it. they didn't have any water damage. I guess the jewel got nailed, but I was just wondering, with that construction going on at Cass Avenue and I-55, was there any obstructions to the storm sewer systems underneath that with what's going on? Because my brother lives in Romeoville and was headed west on I-55 about the same time, and it was flooded under there, under the bridge there. And then I went and looked at the office park. It's on Plainfield here on the north side, and it had that lagoon or water retention basin behind there, kind of off 77th Street. That was like 6 or 7 feet deep of water the next morning. So just some observations, but it never, that's the worst rain we ever had, and it was coming back up through the storm sewer system probably 20 minutes after the rain had stopped. So something was black flowing. I just was wondering if the Brookhaven Shopping Center is on a different storm sewer system than the Brookhaven subdivision. Because it just, I thought that would have been nailed like the Jewel was, but it wasn't, so. for what it's worth.
Jewel parking lot is designed to act as a retention area until the storm sewers can drain it.
Yeah, I was just curious.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but many of our streets are designed to hold water. And then water, I talked to a number of people who, one guy showed me pictures of two rafters going down the street with their paddles. And he said an hour after the storm was over, the water was gone.
Yeah, it receded by
So-
probably 10 to 5. But, you know, then I thought, if
And I know people don't, I know it's an inconvenience to look and see a couple feet of water moving up your driveway. I realize that, but the streets are designed to hold it, and with the amount of rain, you know, when you had 6 inches of rain and 2.5 inches in an hour, that you're gonna
I
have
think it was
some
the
conditions
2.4
like that.
inches in 1 hour. I think it was 6 inches all day or something like that.
6 inches all day, I've heard possibly 8.
I was just curious if there was anything going on with the construction on I-55 that might have blocked some of the stormwater flow off that,
I don't know if
I
we,
was curious.
Mike, is it Mike?
Huh?
Is your name Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think unless, I sent you an email earlier, I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to see it yet. Yeah, I answered all your questions, so, okay?
Okay.
you have another gentleman, you wanna come forward? No, yeah, and then can we let this gentleman, he's been in the back. He gets up every time and somebody beats him to the microphone.
Okay, my name is Paul Kukik, live at 7702 Gale Avenue, ground zero, my house is at. Actually, there are 3 other houses, one of them, gentleman talked here, Tappan, his house there is part of that ground zero. I have mitigated what I can on my own pocket, made sure that the swells between my house and the house south of me, there are ditches as well. But I also made sure that 3 of the 2 back gutters and the one on the north side of the house was going out to the street. Even with all that, the rain coming off of Cass Avenue, which is, by the way, is 10 feet higher than it was over 30 years ago when somebody in the county or this town went along with it, built it up 10 feet more than it should, and the water was coming right down, broke through a window, which never would get water at all, no matter what the rainstorm was. Even that 18-inch we had several years ago, broke through the glass and 2 inches of water came into the basement. One other window, it came through a little smaller one that seeped through it, but that one even filled, which, you know, that never really filled up that much. So there is something wrong. When you got water coming down Plainfield and you're coming off of Cass, it comes right down the street and our street gets it. I told the neighbors, I will not pay for waterfront property. Because that's what it looked like. We were standing in the middle of the street, there were people that had huge trucks, could get through it. Some people had the smaller compact cars. Told them, don't do it, you could get stuck. And they decided not to do it. They couldn't get through. It was that much water, it's never been that high. Even during that 18-incher when we had the gully approach of drainage and stuff. You know, and I did what I could to mitigate any possibilities, and I was really proud of myself about it. and we still got frickin' water in the basement. So, I don't wanna be talking about hydraulics or anything like that. It took us over a week to dry it out. I didn't get anything in insurance because they'd only cover for sub pump failure. Or if like the sewage would back up. But then my neighbor across the street, she's got one in her front yard, and it was almost as good as that fountain we have over on Cass and Plainfield. Or 70, no, Plainfield, yeah. Looked just like that, just fountain all over. All that crap was going all the way down to the street, to the new lakefront property.
Is that the sanitary sewer?
Huh?
Is that the sanitary sewer?
Yeah, and it's not been the first time it's happened, and such there, but this is probably one of the worst ones.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Who's next? I think,
Good evening. My name's Cal Taylor. I reside at 8562 Aylesworth Drive. I don't have a whole lot to add. What's already been added, but you know everybody loves to whip a dead horse, so I want to get my strokes in on you guys. I appreciate you said that there's some surveys being done and with some of the flooding that's going on. And you had remarked that that some of this flooding was localized. Speaking for myself, and there's for sure a few neighbors here who live on Aylesworth Drive with me. We showed up to Woodridge City Hall years ago when they were looking to develop that open field behind us. Specifically because a concern was, where's the water that currently goes there gonna go? I appreciate that was Woodridge's property to do with as they please, not your guys. They decided they didn't care what us residents who are already living there had to say, and they were gonna go through with their developments, and us be damned. So unfortunately, here you folks find yourself because Woodridge, didn't want to really come to any solution to that. You say surveys were done. I'm sure Woodridge did surveys about like the water displacement in that area, before it was developed. Maybe in that land. Anytime there's like a light shower within 10 miles, I have like at least 6 to 8 inches of standing water in my backyard as it grades away and comes up on that berm. If a survey was done in my backyard, you guys are ninjas. Nobody, to my knowledge, came and saw that, prior to development. I already have a lot of standing water in my backyard for several days. So not only am I not surprised that when I lost power, I took several inches of water in my home, I'm standing up here with a very unfortunate, I told you so. So with that being said, I feel like it's not specifically your guys' problem because like I said, it was Woodridge that kind of just railroaded us over. But, you guys are elected officials. You have to work with, the county and surrounding neighborhoods. You guys voluntarily do this, you want to do this. This is the first time you guys have ever seen me at one of these meetings. That should tell you something. I'm not happy. These people aren't happy. There's several people more who I know they weren't gonna get home and work in time to make it tonight are not happy. Message wanted to get sent that a lot of us feel that you guys are on the clock about this issue. We tried to say something, it didn't get listened to, it didn't get addressed, we didn't want this, and now we're getting stuck with this and we're getting told that, I understand surveys take time, I work in an engineering adjacent field, but there's a lot of, well, why is anybody surprised? Because we're not. Right. Thanks for taking your lookings.
I talked to the city administrator, Woodridge City Administrator last Wednesday. And he indicated to me that they cut back on the number of townhomes they were gonna build on that property from 220 to 100. To me, that still seems like a lot. I don't know what conditions they've set up to keep water from coming into your area over there. But I'm sure that's something that they would look at. If you want to have me find out from them what their plan is, I can do that.
I would strongly suggest, if I have continued time to speak, you take, and I know there are other areas that took water, but specifically down Aylesworth Drive, that berm to the west of Aylesworth Drive in everybody's backyard, most backyards do slope away and takes standing water, a lot of standing water. And ever since that development has gone up, it has gotten progressively worse. This is the first time I've ever taken standing water, and I appreciate this is a once in 100-year whatever, but boy oh boy, is that conveniently coincidental with this, development going up that I have now officially flooded.
I'm sorry, was that due to sump pump failure or just a natural?
It is both due to sump pump failure, yes, but also, like I said, the water table rises remarkably now in my
It
backyard.
came in through your patio door, your windows?
So it did not get as far as my patio door as windows, but the standing water with the way my backyard grades away from my property and it comes down to the berm, there's a low-lying valley between my house and the berm where before it would get muddy. Now it is many, many inches within my fence line. So that tells me that water table is rising significantly more than it has previously been. And not just with the rainstorm events of July 4th. I mean, we get decent water. I don't need to lose power. That water table is up. Like we need a storm drain line running north to south on the west side of Aylesworth. I guarantee you, everybody who lives on the west side of Aylesworth, it takes them a week to dry out every time we take more than an inch of rain.
Part of the concern might be, if you know the history of Farmingdale where you live, that was built under DuPage County.
Okay.
It was incorporated into the city of Darien. I don't have the dates here. Some of it may be pre-storm water existing. So in other words, 1980s, the stormwater ordinance came into effect and municipalities, DuPage County, they started to basically put restrictions on how much water could be released from a subdivision. The rules back then, or after 1980, were you need to have storage for 100-year rain events. Was that done? Under what we know, and based on the annexation, the answer is yes. So DuPage County built it. Woodridge, on the other hand, behind there, that entire properties, we'd have to take a look at it, ask them for a stormwater report on when it was built, but we did do that several years ago. And the outcome was that they had designed it per the 100-year rain event. So again, my goal is to make sure that when water infiltrates a home, like we heard residents earlier, that we find out the concern, how they got there and why.
Is the defining metrics of a 100-year rain event sent by DuPage County, or is that sent by individual municipalities?
NOAA, yes.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen.
You got a question real quick? I know, Aylesworth backs up to the new townhome development, which is obviously Woodridge, which is off of Woodward. And that's still under construction, right? I mean, that's not completely built.
It's almost done.
That's been going on for 2 years?
We could double check
Yeah.
with the community development department there, see, and the concern is when it leaves, I believe it's Lamar Road. 'Cause that water travels to Lamar Road and it travels through some wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a bottleneck there? We looked into that question several years ago and we were told there was nothing wrong there. We can't increase the downstream flow. So again, we could reinvestigate it, take a look at it, see where the water goes to. But I can't tell you that if there's nothing clogged, more than likely, nothing will change there.
And you said you were told by Woodridge or the county, I don't remember, I know you were talking to both.
That was Woodridge. I know we looked at with our engineers and it was concluded that it was built in accordance. Some of it all depends when the dates were, when and where were built within the requirements of that time. And this gentleman speaking of Aylesworth, yeah, there's probably detention issues or retention issues that would not be adequate for today's standards.
Is there anyone else who wants to talk about the flooding? Please come forward.
I just want to know how you know if your area is on the survey, on the schedule to be surveyed.
It's on the agenda for this evening, you know, again,
Okay.
we're concentrating on homes that literally took water in, not from sump pump failures and not from sanitary backups. Strictly storm water that has inundated basements through window wells, patio doors, garages, in the home. So it's my understanding in Aylesworth that no one took on water with the exception of sump pump failure.
I'm not, we're at 71st and Worth Drive.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I just wanna know, is our area going to be surveyed? Cause Holly Park was totally flooded, you couldn't
Correct.
access our street from 71st. We're the second house in.
No, it is not on the survey, number one. If
Okay.
you wanna call me tomorrow,
It's 71st and Worth, you and I have been out there, that's
Correct.
that's the street that's got, it's got the poor,
It's got the issue on-
the poor pitch on it.
right, and we have a plan, it's gonna have to come back into budget. You're probably looking at about $150 to a $200,000 venture. And it has to be relieved into the park district, the Holly Park, which again, it'll help on a rain event like this. More than likely, you'll see the same situation, but for the less intense rain events, yes, we have to put a new line into Holly Park, right by the playground, to the east of the playground, and that is on a docket to be estimated very soon here.
You stated earlier that you've got this funding for the topographic, for the areas that were gravely impacted on July 4th. Later on, though, if there's anything money left, we can come back out and hit these other areas that were hit, yes?
It's correct, but I'm not sure if their home wasn't impacted.
Oh no, we flooded,
You
we
did
were out of
flood?
town, and my kid couldn't get to the house quickly. And so it was just flooding until he could get there to address it.
Why don't you give me a call tomorrow? I'll give you one of my cards, and
I just wanna know if they, like, there's drone footage of it all, like, I'm just,
it doesn't help me. I've seen some of the drone footage. I mean, yes, it was
where is it?
Lake Holly. I understand that.
Okay,
But give me a call.
I've got your number, we've emailed.
Anyone else regarding water flooding? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Josh Kukek. I live at 7702 Gale Avenue. You actually heard from my dad a couple speakers ago. While I echo his comments and his sentiment about this, I have lived in this community for my whole life. Over 30 years I've been here, and this has been the worst flooding. If our street probably went through another 30 minutes of rain, probably could have took a kayak down there and just went right along with all the sewage that was coming up from my neighbor's house at 7701, with all the sanitary products that were coming up from that as well. But my question for you all, which is a bit rhetorical right now for you to ponder upon, what will you all do for us as your constituents? What will you do when you go talk to DuPage County? Because surely we pay enough taxes that something more can be done. For instance, our subdivision, where Gale Avenue is, we all know that's farmland, we all know that's marshland, and yet you still allowed DuPage County to build up Cass Avenue and build up Plainfield, so it just goes right into that beautiful marshland that we now call our homes. But my other question for you guys to consider is, as a town, what are you going to do in the future when this happens again, besides putting out a couple dumpsters for all of us to load up all of our damaged goods and belongings into? Because I'm not sure if you guys all loaded up your vehicles to dump them off at the 2 dumpster points, but you gotta do better than 2 dumpsters. Come on. That is shameful, and you know it is. And on top of it, think about some of our senior citizens in our community. Are they able to even bring up all the stuff from their basements that was damaged and carry it over? Maybe they might be able to ask one of their neighbors out of the goodness of their heart, maybe they could help them. but something more has to be done in the future. And you have time right now to think about it, but who knows, maybe that next storm might be coming tonight because it's supposed to rain again. But something to consider and ponder upon. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Arturos Lonikas, 8552 Aylesworth Drive. A lot of the neighbors here explained pretty much everything. I'm not going to add too much. On the bright note, the community is amazing. Neighbors helped out as much as possible. My neighbor helped out, other neighbors helped out. We borrowed electricity from over across the street from another neighbor. So the community is amazing. So that's first thing. Second, I think we kind of, everybody said already everything, the concerns. You really should be looking into first failure. It's common. That's the first thing. If I would have had electricity, I would have not had 6-7 inches of flooded basement. I can tell you that, right? That's first. 2 weeks before that, we had another major outage. Now, I've been in this house for 16, 17 years. I had comet outages a blip, a minute, maybe two. Now, since that whole housing project across the side on the Woodridge side happened, I have hours and multiple times over the year instead of maybe once of a blip. So this really should be looked into why it's happening. Again, down the road where all that water collects, it's a major disaster. It's not the first time, and whatever has been done, clearly it's not working. Again, that's been brought up, but you have to understand it's insane view and damage when you have across your basement. It's not something pleasant. And not over like every year or every second year happening. It's not something we all want to deal with this. Okay, Comet, highest priority. We have to have electricity. We just have to have it. I don't care what they do, how they do it, what measures you guys need to do, whether it's related to the Woodridge site, it doesn't matter, it has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. Okay? We can deal with the sump pump, we can put the second one in, you name it, but electricity has to be there. It has to be there. Okay? It's a trickling effect, it's a catch-22, right? What fails first? Electricity is gone, everything is gone. All our defenses are gone. Focus on the highest priorities, okay? And then of course the research, this can be done in parallel, but Comet, seriously. This is happening all the time, okay? You can probably go look for the records, how often we lose electricity. You're going to see. And you can go back 10 years, you're gonna see how bad it was. How it is right now versus before. So just set your priorities straight. We're all frustrated, I know, but again, community is awesome. Thank you.
Why don't you email me tomorrow morning?
Anyone else?
Good evening, sir. I live exactly on a 86442 Ellsworth Drive and Stewart Street. You guys put the trench over there, but I think it's not enough. And what happens if you have 15 minutes of rain? Ellsworth and Stewart is like start back up over there. So you have to coordinate with my backyard fault in a Woodridge. So you have to coordinate with the Woodridge and the DuPage County to make some wider, like a trench or something over there in backside. Like that. And the Woodward Avenue East and West over there, back up fast and they start backing up on the Ellsworth Drive. And I got a picture of like that the flood coming is the backside. Backside. And that corner one is very low.
But you,
So it is called.
if you take my card and just forward me that video, that'd be great, okay?
Sure, I will. If you're interested to see this thing, the backyard. And the camera, those bags, they need to raise about 3-4 feet. With the 24th June floods, Well, some pumps survive. And after 4th of July, in July, we have about 14 hours of power outage. And after 3-4 hours of some pump, it died. So the climate transformer, we already called, but nobody hearing us. So you have to call or take care of the camera to raise the transformer.
Understood.
And if you coordinate with the Goodrich and the DuPage County for that standing water, by the construction you can make some kind of bigger gutter over there. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'd like to let you know, and this is not going to make people feel any better, but this has been a topic that has consumed our staff time for over a week. We've talked about, we've gone out to people's homes, we've seen their homes, some of the more serious situations. We've had friends and neighbors who took water on. The city is not unsympathetic to what's going on. Believe me, I have seepage in my basement. Seepage wasn't bad. I almost feel like I was lucky only to have seepage. But there are a lot of people who are very impacted by this storm. The city is not unsympathetic to your needs. That's why I wrote our District 3 representatives today. I indicated to them specific issues with the sanitary sewers. A lot of these homes that had sanitary sewer backup did not have overhead pumps, overhead sewers. We're looking to them for financial assistance for those people. Beyond that, we're going to discuss what we might be able to do to assist our residents. I just want you to know that your words are not falling on deaf ears. We're definitely listening to what you say. We're definitely listening to your concern. I feel your anger, and I feel your frustration, and we will try to do something about it. I want you to know that. Nobody up here is going to sit back and say, well, it wasn't my house, I don't care. Every one of these people here, as your elected representatives, cares about what happened on July 4th. I don't even know if some of them got water themselves. We will try to be as informative as possible. We're going to wait to see what the county tells us in terms of how they respond to my email. If I have to call our state senators, our state representatives, I will do that on your behalf. I just want you to know that we are sympathetic to what's going on. And again, we talked about it today, we talked about it last week. Every day we've talked about what we can do, how we can handle it. Alderman Legansky has been in City Hall 3 or 4 times over the last week talking about issues. We've been out to people's homes. We visited homes. Mr. Gombeck has gone out. Mr. Legansky's gone out. I've gone out. Dan is willing to go out to other people's homes to take a look. We will try to work something out. I want you to know that. Again, I understand your frustration. I understand your anger and your disappointment. And we will do what we can. And I mean that sincerely. We will do what we can. Mary?
I think a couple of people tapped into it about, obviously insurance and, the dollars associated with this. I mean, there's the emotional and the physical destruction, but then to not have the money to even clean out your house, and if your insurance isn't helping, is us being able to assist them in tapping into, the FEMA funds or county funds or some type of emergency disaster funds. I mean, I think that's really critical right now, and that's something that needs to happen, I think, fairly quickly for people.
And we're considering all of those.
Right. So, Hopefully, I don't know if there's, I mean, obviously, we have our direct connect we send out weekly, but is there, are you recommending to people in the audience and who are listening who have been impacted, is someone at City Hall a key point person besides Dan keeping track of addresses and residents? Or should people call and report that they've been impacted so that, we have a way of communicating back to them when we have that information? Is there somebody they should call?
Yes, we already put that information out there a couple times back on Direct Connection. There's a
Right.
couple different numbers that we have either. It depends how technical the questions are. I might.
Yeah, I know, I saw the contact and the resources, which was great. I'm just thinking from like a, you know, I know it's different if it's flooding versus, which is sanitary sewer, which is the county. And I've shared that on social media. I just wanna make sure like we at City Hall are tracking the names and addresses of all the homes so that, you know, we
We
can
are.
reply back to them directly.
For stormwater related issues, yes, we've been replying back to every single individual. For as far as the sanitary goes, it depends on the situation. We refer them over to DuPage County. We may not have all their vital information. So, but we are referring them over to, again, the sanitary district. And I believe Sean is out of town this week, so I'll be touching base with him. I know that they've been doing a great job following up with residents, and he was out here, matter of fact, I notified Sean of the event on July 4th, and he had several people in town that evening.
So, I mean, I have a pretty good idea on what happened in my ward. I'm hearing a lot from a lot of other areas, of course. So do we have like it broken down now by area, that what areas were hit the hardest and for what reasons? Do we at least have that like plotted somewhere to know like, okay, it's Gale, it's this, it's Glenn by me, do we have that right now to kind of have a picture, I would hope by now, of how did this city come out of this in terms of by area and for what reason? Do we have
Two
that?
different factors
Yeah.
we're looking at. Number one is from a stormwater perspective. We have the information. It has not been all compiled to 1, 2, 3, or which subdivision was the worst. From a sanitary district, we're not gonna compile that. We're gonna leave that back to DuPage County. So the answer is yes, we will, especially the stormwater system. And again, hence the report that's being up for review tonight for to move forward.
Anyone on the council have anything to add?
Well, I mean, I had a few things I was gonna bring up in, like the communication part of communications I got. Should I just save it for that? Or just bring them up now because they're storm related?
Whatever.
What do you, what do you think's better?
Bring it up now, Jerry.
Bring it up now since it's storm related? Okay.
And then they can hear.
Right, so, I mean, typically, so everybody knows, I mean, we do a part of receiving of communications, and I'm sure a lot of us here have gotten communications of people and residents and neighbors who aren't here to speak, but of course, they've been contacting us as well. And I think it's important that everyone know that, you know, we're constantly looking at stormwater projects in this city. So it's not something that we don't look at when problems come up. A couple of communications I've gotten, was from Sue Cleghorn, 613 Honey Locust, regarding flooding on Farmingdale and Honey Locust, which is where a lot of water runs through my ward to get into a big retention pond area. We actually had a fire rescue there of a couple cars that got trapped there where they had to literally go and rescue people from a car, which has happened twice in the last 2 years on Portsmouth and now on Farmingdale. And I know she copied you as well on that one. I also been in communication with Jolanta. I'm probably gonna really mess up her last name, Kazlaskaiti, regarding water on Whittington Court. Dan, I know you've received that email as well. Her concern is the retention area that's been overflowing the retention area at Pinewood Park, flooding into Portsmouth, and then, of course, flooding into Whittington Court as well. I've also had multiple conversations with a lot of residents that the mayor came out as well, and Dan on Glen Drive, I should say Glen Lane, where they had sanitary sewer backup, where unfortunately, a couple residents had put in the check valves in front of the homes to the tune of like, $8,000 that did not work. They still had. And that's something I'm learning now. It's been going on for quite a while there. To the point where one resident actually has some sandbags in their house just to put around the sewer to keep it from overflowing into their house. I wish they would have said something sooner, but they've been putting up with that for a fairly long time, beyond just last July flood and this July flood. So I had multiple sanitary sewer backups. Unfortunately, one got to a point where it actually even came up through a kitchen sink. So there's problems definitely throughout the city. And you feel sad, especially for some new residents that have only lived in Darien for 13 months, and they've already experienced two sanitary backups in their home. I feel for them because I have kids the same age that, they're supposed to be building for their future, not trying to rebuild their homes every year and a half because of these floods. So I have been in contact with the mayor and Dan, and we're looking at what we can do, because the biggest problem I had really in my ward was these sanitary sewer backups. So that's something that we definitely need to look at. And, Mayor, I appreciate the concern you're taking. I'm retired now, but for 30 years, I always had a boss that said, if you have a problem and you don't say anything, it's your problem, but if you bring it to us, it's our problem. And now I think we know it's our problem. And now that we're bringing it up to the county and other areas, now they know that it's their problem as well. So, problems with electricity, luckily, I fought that in my ward for the longest time, power outages. I mean, before I was even on this council, you guys know I came here all the time with, but until we know there's constantly problems, you kind of think it's business as usual. I mean, how would I know that someone that I know pretty well has had 6 major flooding events from sanitary sewer backup in the last 33 years? I mean, I would have, that's not acceptable. I think people just get kind of used to it. And thankfully, we didn't lose power this time, which would have been even a bigger disaster. So I wanted to share those communications now, since we're really been talking quite a bit about the issues that we've had citywide. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I guess what we're saying is you're not all alone. This is our issue. I give you credit for coming forward tonight and sharing what you communicated to us in such a good way. I mean, I know a lot of you are frustrated, angry, and I appreciate the way you presented it. I just want you to know the city is looking to do something about it. And we're going to explore a lot of possibilities, and we're not going to leave you alone in terms of dealing with it. I can promise you that. Anyone else want to talk about flooding? Okay. We have another topic, and I believe we have a gentleman who wants to address us, so please come forward.
Mayor and Council, I'm Jeff Sturgeon. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you. And your address, sir?
1017 Willow Lane in Darien. I'm asking you not to accept misleading assurances about automated license plate readers from Flock and the other people that have sold you these systems. The issue is not whether public safety matters. It does. The issue is whether the system is truly narrow, controlled, and protected against abuse. The record shows that it isn't. We've already seen local control fail. In Mountain View, California, a nationwide sharing setting was enabled without the department's knowledge, allowing outside agencies to access local data. The city later suspended the program. We have seen unauthorized government access here in Illinois. A state audit found that federal officials access plate reader data in violation of state law. Flock allows sharing whether or not you have agreed to it. That is exactly the kind of mission creep communities are told will not happen. We have seen misuse by police themselves. In Milwaukee, officers used Flock data to track people for personal reasons, including people they knew in their private lives. National reporting has found many similar cases across the country involving stalking and improper searches by police and government officials. We've seen vendor overreach. In Cambridge, Massachusetts, the city terminated its contract after cameras were reportedly installed without the city's awareness, even after elected officials had paused the program. We also know that vendor personnel access sensitive live camera feeds in places involving children, including schools, playgrounds, swimming pool, a Jewish community center, and a children's gymnastic area during the demonstrations. That should alarm every person in this room. The problem is not just what our city promises to do, it's that these systems are built to connect, share, and expand, and once that happens, local residents lose meaningful control over where their location data goes. And this is not just a privacy issue, it's also an expensive and unwanted solution in search of a problem. If there was never a demonstrated need for this system in the first place, then the city should not spend public money building a mass location database it cannot fully control. Normal police work, targeted investigations, witness interviews, and warrants can solve crimes while still respecting the constitutional rights of the public. Legally, the more accurate standard is this. The Supreme Court has recognized strong Fourth Amendment protection for sensitive digital location data, and ALPR databases can reveal the same kind of intimate movement patterns. The council should require a judge-signed warrant before anyone accesses historical ALPR data. So my ask is simple: remove the cameras or adopt the following guardrails in full. Those protections should include very short retention, up to 7 days, no outside sharing without a warrant for a felony recognized under state or local law, limit uses to felony investigations, annual public reporting and audit logs, and a warrant signed by a judge before access to historical ALPR data. If this technology is truly safe, necessary, and accountable, it should be able to survive those rules. If it cannot, I don't think it belongs in our city. Thank you very much.
I'd actually like to speak on the same subject, if I might.
That's fine.
My name is Richard Finley. I'm a relatively new resident, 8507 Hemlock Lane. Tonight I want to talk, I'd like to lodge a formal complaint about the city's ongoing use of flock safety license plate reader cameras. These cameras are already in place, 10 of them, if I'm correct, are at key entry and exit points across Darien. They're already capturing data on every vehicle that enters or leaves our community. My complaint is that this program was adopted and continues to operate without adequate oversight, and that the vendor behind it has been proven by a state audit to have violated Illinois law. In 2023, Illinois passed a law prohibiting the sharing of automated license plate reader data for immigration or abortion enforcement. In August 25, our Secretary of State audited the operations, and we already know how that story ends, thanks to Mr. Sturgeon. Forest Park Police Department was caught improperly sharing data the month after that audit came through. A news investigation by 404 Media found that over 4,000 federal immigration enforcement lookups were run through flock systems using search terms like ICE, ERO, deportee, and immigration. The University of Washington's Center for Human Rights reported that Border Patrol accessed networks of police departments that never authorized federal searches, a backdoor into local data that nobody agreed to open. Our police department published a community bulletin calling concerns about this system inaccurate and misleading, but the state audit already mentioned is not a flyer. It's not a rumor. It's a finding by an officer of our state that the law was broken. Meanwhile, Flock's own standard contract grants the company a worldwide, perpetual, royalty-free right and license to disclose agency data for investigative purposes. In April of this year, The Guardian reported that Flock quietly removed language from its terms of service that previously assured that previously assured customers that the company does not own or sell their data. Again, this was removed. So the company weakened its own privacy commitments after the audit, not strengthened them. Evanston terminated their Flock contract. Oak Park terminated theirs. More than 30 municipalities across the country have deactivated or canceled Flock since early 2025, thanks to revelations like these. My asks are specific. Audit Flock's access logs to confirm no unauthorized federal or third-party searches occurred using Darien's data. Have the city attorney review the contract for the data disclosure clause and assess our legal exposure. And if compliance cannot be verified, terminate this contract. We were told these cameras are for recovering stolen vehicles and finding missing persons. That is a worthy goal. But the vendor we chose to accomplish it has been caught violating the trust of every community that signed this contract with them, including communities in our own state. That makes this a Darien problem, and I ask the council to treat it with urgency. Thank you.
Anyone else? Please come forward if you want to. Please come forward.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I'm Michael, and I live in Downers Grove, like literally just like a mile from here, and I'm here to tell you the flock cameras are like probably the worst idea ever to exist on this planet Earth. As we heard, these cameras have no protection against abuses. In fact, we even heard rumors that a lot of police officers were doing things that are very suspicious, using these flock cameras for their own personal ends. And these cameras put our neighbors in danger because Flock is known to give data to ICE. And we all know how ICE has been treating our neighbors, spoiler alert, not exactly friendly neighborhood Spider-Man way. So yes, and I even heard, and Flock is not even that good of a system in the first place. In California, where my family is from, Los Angeles, they had to deactivate their systems because the system couldn't tell the difference between a car blogger and an actual stolen car. So the system actively ruins lives, gives data to ICE and other malicious agencies, and is very open to abuse. And as multiple people in this meeting said, the data can go anywhere to any group. So canceling guardrails are not enough. If you ask me, we need to get rid of these cameras completely. We already know it can be done. Oak Park, Evanston, they've canceled their contracts for similar reasons. For abuses against the public and our constitutional rights. I know you want to keep your community safe, and as do I. I want to grow up in the world where everyone lives in peace, prosperity, and just general safety. But this is not the way to do it. Putting your trust in a faulty system that's known to backfire on your citizens and gives its data to ICE and other. It's horribly. It's just not the way to go about it. So if you really want to solve solutions, just talk to your neighbors. As you said, warrants and witness works just fine. Putting your putting your faith in a knowingly inaccurate system is just not the way to go about it. That would be all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Anyone who else wants to address us regarding flock cameras, come forward, please.
Hello, my name is Eric Anderson. I've lived in this community for the better part of 35 years. I've attended Gower West and Hill South and still currently live here. And the vast majority of my family and about the majority of my friends are either some form of immigrant or part of the LGBT community. Two groups who are the federal administration is currently very hostile to. And Flock, the way it works, as you might know, it creates large long-term databases where you can maintain the location data of people to very detailed amounts. And given the current environment, I have to fear for my friends and family and just oppose any continued working with flock cameras. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, council. Thanks for having me. I'm Ori Wild, formerly a Darien resident, now Lyle, lifelong resident of DuPage. I'm here because I'm concerned about seeing these ALPRs all across the suburbs. I'm here to speak against their use in Darien. Despite the wide implementation of ALPRs by law enforcement agencies and the pervasiveness of uninvited tech surveillance in our public and private lives, the record behind the use of license plate readers remains legally gray, and citizen concerns about data privacy remain as valid as ever. Oak Park and Evanston, as mentioned, recalled their ALPR use due to concerns about their use in federal immigration operations in contravention of Illinois law. Wrongful, violent arrests due to inaccurate information, and the stalking and targeting of private citizens are other examples of harmful and illegal misuses of ALPR technologies. Just last month, the police chief in McHenry County was arrested for using the Flock database there to track the movements of his ex's new boyfriend, among other lawful citizens doing lawful things. The right to privacy is reflected by the Fourth Amendment. The third-party doctrine further defines the idea of a reasonable expectation of privacy in cases of third-party use. It says the use of these Flock-owned devices, which persistently and constantly track drivers' movements, fall under the third-party doctrine, thereby removing a reasonable expectation of privacy while on the roadways. Why should a corporate entity own citizen data that is ostensibly collected and stored by publicly funded police departments? Does such a sensitive database require a warrant, as for cell phone records? I'm aware that a system like this could be helpful in solving select crimes, but constant mass surveillance produces a security state, not a perfect state of security. Before a surveilling technology is deployed, a compelling public need must be presented. How are police departments measuring demonstrable success versus the risks to civil liberty and potential threats to constitutional law? Mass surveillance technologies are vulnerable to mass abuse and security risks. Does it serve the community to have their location data stored on a nationwide server instead of on a local one? Is 30 days a reasonable time frame to store information about the location of innocent citizens? Is this data indiscriminately collected, or are there different data storage methods for hot-listed information? Why does Flock's latest terms and conditions include a perpetual quote-unquote license to use a citizenry's data even after that municipality has long ended their Flock contract? At what point does a citizen void their reasonable expectation of privacy? Are we all to accept that we live constantly surveilled, or do we speak up about our concerns and fears and stop it now? Given the lack of protections available and questions about the collection and storage of public data, these devices cannot be said to meet a standard of trust for public use. I ask that the benefits versus the risks of ALPRs be reevaluated by members of local law enforcement and by city government. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else?
Jesse Kilovis, I live on Worth Drive. I just have questions. How many Flock cameras do we have now? Are we planning on getting more? And how long is the current contract for? And are we planning on renewing? So I guess those 4 questions.
Chief Thomas?
There's currently 10. We're looking at another 6. And what was the other 2 questions?
How long is the contract for the existing 10 that we have?
Year.
1 year, and then 1 more year for the next 6. And so we're planning on renewing.
Correct.
Have we seen a benefit of having these? Like,
Yes. We've recovered a number of stolen cars, missing people, suicidal people.
how many missing people have we found? How many missing people has Darien personally found from having? How many?
One I know off the top of my head. One
One.
suicide I know off the top of my head. And about 14 cars.
And how much do we pay yearly to have this surveillance of us at all times?
I think it's close to 200,000.
Holy shit, we could use that for our sewer system. Do we get to vote on getting 6 more or the contract renewal of our $200,000 in tax expenditure?
That's a decision the city council will make. They'll go through various points of discussion and then it eventually comes to city council.
When will we know about that? how far
If
in
you,
advance?
if you go to the city, if you go to the city website, we do publish our agenda.
Yeah, that's how I'm here today. But,
So-
so everybody doesn't get this newsletter emailed to them. My 90-year-old neighbors, I'm sure, don't get to see it.
Do you get the Darien Direct Connect?
Yeah, I have that, but I'm guessing like half of the retired people on our block don't have email and don't receive information this way. So I'm just curious, like, how do we know, how is everybody gonna know when this contract is up and if we get to vote that our money is spent towards this?
We do the best we can to provide information to everybody.
The easiest one is
5,000 people.
Budget gets passed May first, or
April, the first Monday
goes
in
into
April.
effect May first, but the vote is in April.
Okay, so
That's
the
probably
next
best
6 cameras have already been approved?
Right.
Okay, so our first
But ongoing
opportunity
contract
is,
negotiations and those type of things would be discussed during the budget process and then voted at the April meeting. I think it's the first Monday in April.
okay, so we all come back in April to talk how we don't want to spend our money on flock cameras, how we want it to solve our plumbing problems and sewer problems.
Can I just ask just a quick question? So what constituted the decision to buy 6 more? What in the data that you've been collecting has constituted the decision to buy 6 additional?
Continued investigative needs for recovery of stolen cars and evidence and missing persons and the like.
So we've had 1 missing person, right, and 14 stolen cars, which is commendable.
Yeah,
But
I think
6
we've
more
had the
cameras.
system since for about a year, so it's quite a few actions in 1 year.
Darien is not a hotbed of crime. It is.
No, it is not.
Excuse me, folks.
But it wasn't before the flock cameras, we didn't have high crime before those cameras.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Why don't
I
you come
said
forward?
we didn't have high crime before the flock cameras. So we're making an investment in something that's kind of unnecessary, is my point.
Darien has always had one of the lowest crime rates in DuPage County.
Right, and I'm saying,
Flock cameras have actually assisted in helping us keep it low.
so our police force couldn't have done it without them?
No.
I don't believe that.
If that was your missing person, wouldn't you wanna make sure they got found?
I mean, nobody wanted their basement to flood.
would have been caught
Like nobody would want a loved one to go missing, nobody wants their car stolen, nobody wants anything bad to happen in life, but it happens.
So we trade.
And the camera system is faulty, you know that.
Right.
But we don't give away all of our rights in our privacy. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want government following us everywhere, everything we do in life. Nobody wants that. You wouldn't want a flock camera in your house. Why do we want it on the streets? Like, we didn't say yes to that when we purchased these houses years and years ago. Like, we didn't say yes to this.
I think the chief said, anybody is welcome to since these were approved up, everybody is welcome to our city budget meetings that do start in February.
Does our
That
voice
talks
matter?
that talks about $25 million of different things the city does. And you could hear everything the council talks about in 3 or 4 meetings and a couple after that, and weighs in on everything and has all of these discussions, that there's questions here. Dan will introduce stormwater projects that have, I'm sure, gone into the multi-million dollars of things based on different reviews and things. The chief has brought forward, the chief and the officers, different types of technology that they see as very helpful to keep Darien a safe community as it is. But really everybody does appreciate your comments, but to have a really good dialogue, I would suggest the budget's time is really the best time, because you could hear the discussions of all the items and all the purchases and services the city talks about.
It's one meeting where every item on the budget
No,
is
I
discussed.
said about, I'm Perry, go ahead.
I'm the chairperson of the Administrative Finance Committee, and that we do workshops So there's a series of workshops. The budget document is published before those workshops even start, and that happens in February. Prior to any of that, we have goal setting in the fall where we talk about items that would be introduced to the budget. But at any given time, today, tomorrow, next week, sitting up here are your elected officials. You are represented by a ward, you live in a ward, I'm Ward 5, I'm not your alderwoman or alderperson, but you vote for us to represent you. So you speak to us and we speak on your behalf. So you can have that dialogue long before that with your alderperson. And then you can come to meetings. But, you know, our budget is not, we have a final vote, but there's lots of hours and conversations and preparation that go into that starting in February, with the final conclusion being a vote of it at the beginning of April. So those
Literally,
schedules
line
are all
by
published.
Line by line
Yeah,
of every
we go
item.
through, and it's an open meeting in this, it's televised, but it's open to the public, and everything's put on the website. The full budget is on there with backup, and you are welcome to come to the meetings, and there is time during that meeting, it's set up a little differently than this, that you can ask questions.
Does the community get to choose what goes up for debate to be put into the budget?
We are the ones that vote on it. So if you have something you would like to see in the budget, sewers, better this, better that, then you should bring that forth to your alderperson to then present it to the city council. But it's the 7 elected officials, we're missing one tonight, who vote on what goes into the budget and what gets funded.
Okay, and so now you just said February, that's when the agenda, so everybody should tell them by
Saying the process
February.
starts, there's workshops that start.
But so we should tell him by February. So for your
Actually,
workshops.
our goal setting is usually,
You can tell me anytime something comes to mind.
That's why I said, we're here for
I just wanna make sure that we
you.
don't miss it.
our
is
goal
the-
setting sessions start October and November. You can attend our goal setting, you can listen to us discuss new items, current programs, things that might be new to the city. You can attend those meetings. There's a time where people in the audience could speak out and say, could you discuss this? We're having an issue with this. That's late October, early November. Mr. Vanna and I start working on the budget, considering all the items, probably late October, early November, after goal setting. There's a lot of opportunities for the public to come forward. We have a police committee, Mr. Kenny chairs that. Items that we're gonna purchase get approved by that committee, they come forward to the city council. The administrative finance committee, they discuss expenditures. Those expenditures, if they're approved, come to the city council. So there's different committees that will talk about these things and the public, they're open to the public all the time.
But our budget year starts May 1st, so.
I think most people in this room don't know this information.
Well, we
You have
put,
to, you probably have to seek it out. Sure, it's probably available online, but everybody here is in scouring the internet to find out how the things
Our
work in
website
their
has
city.
everything on it.
I wanna correct you on something. We publish a newsletter 3 times a year. We published a whole newsletter on the budget process, and that goes to every home in Darien.
Okay, I haven't read it, so I apologize.
Yes, unfortunately, they've been very transparent about the installation of flock cameras. Very transparent. But this is not an issue of budget for us, this is an issue of a constitutional right that's been taken away from us.
Sir, if you're gonna talk, you gotta come to the microphone.
I appreciate that. Unfortunately, we're put into a situation where tens of thousands of people are being passively surveilled in the hopes that hypothetically 1 or 2 people might find themselves back being made whole, and I can appreciate the validity of the desire there, I really can, but ultimately, what we're attempting to argue as citizens is the mechanism by which this city is attempting to catch these folks or help these folks is a faulty system. It's a system built in order to harvest aggregate data across multiple sectors. Now Darien and its flock cameras are contributing to the national web work of flock cameras. We are ultimately building profiles on Americans based on where you're driving. And you can learn a heck of a lot about a person based on where they're driving. You can learn about the protests they've attended. You can learn about their political affiliations. You can learn about their medical practitioner needs. You can learn about who they're spending their nights with. There's an awful lot of private information that even members on this council, I imagine, would like to think that in this country, that's what makes this country uniquely fantastic, is that we have a reasonable expectation to privacy against our government. Flock is a loophole at best. Now, we have allowed a private mass surveillance system under the guise of a contract with a private organization to take off the government's plate surveilling all of us. And ultimately now, instead of the government in an Orwellian fashion collecting it, they're just buying it in the age-old practice of capitalism. And here we are at the last stages of it, and we are ultimately sacrificing way too much for way too little by relying on flock. Thank you.
Anyone else?
We would like to get together, I made a Facebook page, DFlock Darien. DFlock as in we're sheep.
We did not come up with a speech prepared. The only reason why I wanted to mention this was, we were driving a few weeks ago, my kid asked me what they were. Did a little bit of research, I kind of explained, we're still in the process of explaining internet safety. We're in an age where everything you text, everything you look up online, theoretically, it's not private anymore. And driving no longer is either. He wanted to come up because he thought this was kind of a cool idea, because when we were talking about it, he didn't feel comfortable with it. I shouldn't put words in your mouth. Did you want to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Max Manette. I'm here today to talk about flock cameras. I don't think they're a good idea for our community, because we could just put like a letter out on the news, or we could call Chicago News and we could ask, hey, look out for this license plate, and then that's how we can catch them that way. Do you really like people watching your privacy and reading your license plates and watching cameras? Like, we need a warrant for them to watch the cameras. I don't feel comfortable with random people watching our camera, like watching cameras and looking at us and spying on our license plates. And I think Flock is a faulty camera system because it also can track facial recognition, which makes me feel kind of uncomfortable, because when I'm driving in the car, I don't know where the Flock cameras are. I know what they look like, but do we really need them?
Here's the deal, like, not a conspiracy theorist, I get the idea where it can help law enforcement. I'm not mad at law enforcement for wanting them. I just think overall the idea is a little bit potentially overreaching. It's kind of gross. There are municipalities getting rid of them. There's a state that's talking about abolishing them. I'm not mad at you guys for putting them in. It makes sense for law enforcement. I don't like it as an overall concept. I just think it's a bit of an overreach. I think you guys, it would be a good idea to consider maybe being one of like the pioneers and maybe taking the system out. But yeah, just wanted to say our piece. Thank you.
Anyone else? Under his report tonight, Chief Thomas has a police report. It gives an accounting of statistics and data. Part of his report tonight included a brief synopsis of our use of the flock cameras. And rather than wait till we get to that item on the agenda, can I ask you, Greg, to basically talk a little bit about how we use flock cameras to overcome some of the misperceptions?
Sure, the monthly report's available on line as well if you want to look at that itself. I'm aware of a number of the issues that you have brought up, and I'll look at that. The letter that you provided, we appreciate that. if you call me, I got another question on this and some definite errors, but stuff that we can work through. So I appreciate that information. We are in compliance with all the laws within the state of Illinois, 625 ILCS 5/2-130. Any kind of changes or judicial orders regarding the cameras. It talks about the motor vehicle reports, the wanted people that were captured, child sexual abuse situation where the person fled to Rockford, suicidal individual, and other things that are reasons for the camera system, how the data is retained, and the like. I had a check before I came in regarding some of the questions regarding ICE usage. ICE does not use our system. FBI, US Postal Service, and National Park Service, which was odd for me to see, but there are a lot of national parks around, and so ICE does not use the system, and we do the audits as required and make sure that they're up to date. Like anything, it can be abused, and that's inappropriate, and we would take any kind of action against somebody that was misusing the product.
We have evidence that Flock is sharing with ICE despite.
Public-
He's talking right now?
Sir, the public had time to speak.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now it's time for us to speak,
Get
and
it.
we respect everybody as they talked, and I would ask for the same. So,
The chief's giving us a synopsis.
I mean, it's,
I'm pretty well done, so if you have more to say, then I'll listen to all those different kinds of comments. I'm big on the Constitution and making sure that we abide by all those things, and as information changes, definitely will adapt.
I think you have to have faith and confidence in the Darien Police, their leadership, to utilize the system in a correct way. Everything that I've seen, all the reports Chief Thomas has submitted, reading through the documentation myself, I can assure you that we utilize the system only for what it's intended for, and that is to fight crime, lower the crime rate, and keep our communities safer. I realize there's a concern out there with regard to constitutional rights. People feel they're being monitored. Believe me, I don't think, you won't find any of that happening here in Darien. And the chief can assure me of that as mayor.
Yeah,
But
I think
other people can search the data from out of town.
I think the issue is, that we're hearing is not necessarily distrust of the Darien Police Department, it's distrust of ALPR vendors, and in particular Flock. And I'm not sure if that's due to Darien using Flock as a vendor, or Flock as a person or vendor that has come under scrutiny. Regardless, they're under scrutiny, so that requires another continued level.
I thought communications was time.
Did you arrive late?
I did, but I only have a minute and then I have to get back to playing with my 7-year-old.
Why don't you?
You didn't leave him alone.
His mom's with him, but I would help just for a quick second since I was listening.
you said your name and address?
Andrew Ellie Terra Hill. I wasn't gonna even come tonight, but I think that 3 things have to be said. The first thing is I trust these people. Like, they make Darien a nice place to live, and like some people consider that a slogan, but I consider it a promise, and I trust them, all of them. If you wanna know about things they can do to make you guys feel better, they can audit the network annually. They can publish those audit logs so you guys can see them. They can track false hit rates so that if there are if there is data that's leaking that leads to false arrests, you'll know about it and you could see it. They could assure you that they're only gonna keep that data for 30 days. They could have a cyber policy that tracks this sort of thing, and if there's any sort of data breaches, it can be audited in real time and forensically tracked so that if there are bad actors in the system, they can be rooted out and, you know, essentially stopped at the source. And the most important thing they could do is track the contract exit rights. So if there are problems with the system and they want to switch vendors, you maintain that ability to exit the contract in a timely manner. So the most important thing I'm hearing is the data. As long as they're assuring you that they're only keeping this data for 30 days, there shouldn't be much of an issue in terms of aggregated data. In terms of hacking the system, if they have a cyber policy in force that monitors their cyber environment so there are no bad actors in the system, hacking the system will be like a concern that a lot of people shouldn't worry about. And the main thing is that if they're auditing the logs, and it leads to false arrests, those things should be publicly available so everyone can sort of track them. And in my mind, you know, look, I've listened to everything that was said tonight, but the main issue for me is that I trust these folks, and I don't think that, like, you look at the flock data and are there pros, are there cons? There obviously are, but the main thing is that Illinois, as it stands, has very strict flock laws. And I would encourage everyone here to actually look at the Illinois flock restrictions. This would be a very different discussion if we were in a jurisdiction like Texas or Florida, for example. But in Illinois, what flock can and can't do is very different. So I would encourage the police officer here to consider publishing those logs, making sure you have a reputable cyber vendor, and if you guys are doing those things, you should be fine.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you.
You're welcome. I gotta get back to the law.
Okay. I think that closes our discussion on the flock cameras. We're going to continue with the remainder of our agenda at this point. I appreciate all the comments tonight, whether it deal with the flooding or it deals with the flock cameras. I appreciate you coming out. It's always good to have the public come to us and share with us their ideas on what's going on. I do appreciate that.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
We have the approval of the minutes. I ask for a motion to approve the June 1st, 2026 and the June 15th, 2026.
No, nobody wasn't here.
Okay, June 1st, 2026 minutes. I need a motion to approve, moved by Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Stompanato. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm going, you guys threw me off tonight.
This is for City Council 1, right?
Yeah, yes.
Shower. Stompanato. Gustafson.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Legansky.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
Those minutes have been approved. Now I need a motion to approve the June 15, 2026 City Council minutes. Moved by Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderwoman Sullivan. Questions or comments? If none, the roll.
Shower.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Gustafson.
Aye.
Kenny.
Abstain.
Legansky.
Abstain.
Stompanato. Aye. I have 4 ayes, 1 absent, and 2 abstentions.
Minutes have been approved. Takes us to receiving of communications. This is an opportunity for aldermen to share any communication they might have received from a resident since our last meeting. Alderwoman Sullivan.
Thank you. I'm just gonna do a broad, obviously, we spent a lot of time tonight and more time needs to be spent talking about the devastating flooding and water that came into Darien on June 4th, and prior to that too. I live in Terra Hill, which is one of the newer communities, and I was out of town like many people were because it was the holiday weekend, and us out of town were like feared what we were gonna come home to. But neighbors reported, like, you know, it was like a river, like flooding like no one had ever seen who have been in the community for 30, 35 years. So it impacted every part of Darien, newer parts, older parts. Carriage Greens Golf Course was completely underwater. So people have reached out to us, we're connecting them with city services, connecting them with the right resources. So let your alder people help you along in this process, get you the resources, make sure they know if you've been flooded so that you can be in touch with potential aid down the road. But that's what we're elected for, is to be your voices. Continuing dialogue happens on South Frontage Road at Cass. Obviously, the construction on the Cass Bridge over I-55, which kind of came to a standstill, activity has resumed. We saw workers there today, but our friends in Darien over at the condo development and townhomes there at Falling Waters and South Cass and Frontage Road continue to express concern about the need for a light. We're continuing to have our dialogue and put pressure on DuPage County and Illinois Department of Transportation to address this. But I have to stress, it is gonna have to be a collaborative effort. Darien it's outside of our bandwidth to do it because it is a county road and it is a state road. But we are putting pressure on, expressing safety concerns, and we keep hearing from people. We keep connecting with our state legislators, our county representatives, hoping to get some traction on that. And additionally, hoping that that project over I-55 and Cass Avenue, we've got people doing U-turns, we got lane closures. It's scary, it's safety. I pull out on that roadway multiple times a day and people are whipping around doing U-turns. I've seen a lot of Darien police presence there on the median, monitoring the traffic flow. So reach out if your concerns continue, but I just wanted to bring that up.
Anyone else?
I had two residents. I had Marie Siagala Becker on Worth home flooded based, they had some of the sewage come up. And then they had a resident, we had to get her out of the house because power went out, elderly, no air conditioning, no power. So those are the only two that I got. One was sanitary sewer coming up on one, and one was just power being out.
Anyone else? Alderman Gustafson.
I had one on resident on Beller Drive that I talked to Dan about that had their sewer in their backyard backed up towards the house, but it slowly got resolved.
Just one last thing. I was out of town, but on Saturday night when the rain, kind of slowed down, I just want to give a shout out to Dan Gombeck, who is a Darien resident, but our city administrator, Brian Vanna, who does not live nearby necessarily. They were driving around to all the various communities. They even put me on speakerphone so that I could speak to some residents in my ward that were directly impacted. So I'm very grateful for their service and being boots on the ground. So many residents sent me videos and capturing what's happening in real time with videos and photos is important, but when you have the people that are gonna help us find the solutions, literally driving around and seeing it firsthand, I think that really made a huge help. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other communication? It takes us to the mayor's report. I'd like to mention, and a lot of the public doesn't know this, but the city of Darien operates a summer internship program. We had students from Hinsdale South High School and Downers Grove South High School, juniors who are going into their senior year. We put them through a 6-week program here at the city. They spend a week with Mr. Vanna on administration. They spend a week with Mr. Gombeck on municipal services. They spend a week with Mr. Murphy about ordinances and permitting. They spend a week with me. During the week with me, they got to interview business people to find out the relationship between business and the city of Darien. They also had an opportunity to interview Senator Curran, Nicola Laha, Representative Laha, Representative Marty Deuter, County Board Member Lucy Chang Evans, as well as Alderwoman Sullivan, Alderman Kenny, and Alderman Stompanato. They've finished their 6-week program just last week. On August 3rd, they're going to be presenting a capstone project, which means they picked out an issue that they feel they can discuss with the council. They want to present a solution if they saw it as a problem. I'm very proud of this program. This is the second year we've run this program. And there's a saying that says if you want democracy to continue, you have to get young people involved, and we're working to get young people involved. So I'm very proud of that program. The other thing I wanted to mention was, I'm going to reiterate this, I have a very good working relationship with Lucy Evans, with Kerry Galassi, and Brian Krajewski. Those are our 3 District 3 representatives at the county board level. I've also been appointed recently to a committee by Deb Conroy. So I have a good working relationship with the county board chair. I am not hesitant to contact them and ask them for assistance. And today I sent them an email and told them we need some help in Darien. We need them to look at this issue that we had with the sanitary sewer backups. And hopefully we'll get some resolution by that, through that communication. And so that's my mayor's report. City clerk report?
No report this evening either.
City administrator's report.
One item, Mayor, thank you. And Dan, if you could pass on to everybody in Public Works, whenever there's something like the floods on the 4th, or there's a tornado a couple of years ago, and a resident who was a senior wasn't able to pull her big branch out to the front, and the cavalry comes in, so and again, from the residents, we all heard nothing but thanks to the Public Works employees. So again, if you could pass it on to all of them, please.
Definitely will.
Thank you.
always do.
I'd like to piggyback on that real quickly. It was 5:15 on a Friday afternoon. Most people from City Hall were gone. I was sitting at my desk, and the phone rang. And there was a woman on the phone, elderly woman, who said that we had a windstorm. And she said, a large branch broke off my tree, and it is laying in the parkway and into the street. She says, could you come and move that branch? And I said, well, I don't think I could do something like that by myself, but I'll call Public Works. At 5:15 in the evening, I called Christopher Throm, who heads our municipal services. Chris says, Mr. Marquez, he was home. He says, I'll get somebody out there to move that branch. I called this woman back a few minutes later and I said, somebody's coming out from Public Works. And she goes, oh, don't worry about it, Mr. Mayor. She said, I had a very nice police officer from the city of Darien come by and he moved the branch. She says, and I can't believe that on a Friday afternoon at almost 5:30, I had the mayor, the Public Works, and the police department all helping me out. And I think that speaks to the quality of the people that you're dealing with. So thanks for letting me tell my story. All right. We move to department head information and questions. Our police department monthly report. Chief Thomas.
Part of it's already been covered, but I do want to go over the e-bike portion of
Yes.
the monthly report. And so a lot of municipalities were all making their own decisions on different requirements for the bike, whether it could ride on a trail, a shared trail, roadway, bike lane, sidewalk, and the like. And so you could be in one community and be okay, you can ride the distance over to the next community, and then you could be in violation of an ordinance violation. So the state took that up as an issue and did what they could to correct that. So effective July 1 of this year, there's all those collective things has gone into one document. So in the past, for example, if you were to ride an e-scooter, you had to be 18 years or older. To ride an e-bike, you had to be at least 16 years of age. The state didn't have a lot of requirements or restrictions on where a lot of local municipalities did, so the state did put in a number of restrictions on where you can ride. It did lower the e-scooter to 16. Anything over that e-bike that travels faster than 28 miles an hour or 750 Volt is now no longer considered a bicycle, and because it's not a bicycle, it's now depending on size and those type of things, be it motorcycle, motorized moped, those type of things. So now it requires a state license or state registration, a license to drive it, insurance and the like. So there was a number of changes that were made. Can't ride e-bike on a public sidewalk, that's now the state law. E-bikes, e-scooters are permitted on streets and in bike lanes. Like I said, the maximum speed's 28 miles an hour. You have to be at least 16 years of age. They also took up the toys, those little things that run on batteries, and where they can be ridden and they can't go over 10 miles an hour. You can ride those because those are for 8, 9, 10-year-old kids, and you don't want those individuals on the street, so you can ride those on sidewalks. So again, back to we made those direct connect notifications, Twitter notifications, direct or monthly report, and those type of things. So it's available at different locations. Our SRO has visited I think all the schools and talked to the schools and also sent them flyers in the whatever the school sends out. So hopefully the parents have got that information, and there's a parental responsibility portion to it. So if parents are allowing stuff, that's not good. And so, oh, and I have to give a shout out for Dan, which it drives me crazy, but we did have flooding next door at the police department, and so we made some decisions about what should be in the lower level, what should be in the upper level. So Dan sent his crew of, I think 6 over and moved a bunch of stuff out of the basement and or lower level. Critical operations like the sergeant's office and like, and less critical operations, training room and some other stuff. So we made that happen, and Dan came over, Dan's personnel came over and made that work, so I appreciate that as well. So.
Thanks, Greg.
Any questions for Greg? Mary?
I just want to stress again to the audience and to folks listening how imperative it is that parents respect this new law. And like, you know, we adopted e-bike, e-scooter policy over a year ago, but now it's a statewide mandate, and it's so imperative that the parents cooperate, do not buy the vehicles, the devices for their children. It's against the law, there is repercussions, and most of all, it's about safety. And already this summer, we've seen in the news, thankfully not in Darien, but still lives lost because of improper usage of the e-bikes, and it has a trickle effect. The driver is forever changed, the loss of life, the families. So please follow the letter of the law. Please educate your children on the proper use, the proper device use, what you can do, where you can ride it, and please wear a helmet. I know it's not the law, but protect that. You can fix a broken arm, but you can't fix a broken head.
Anything else for Chief Thomas? Mr. Gombe?
All right, star of the hour right here, July 4th. Let's recap. I'm gonna be brief. I'm just gonna give some highlights, and then we'll go from there for any potential questions. Obviously, on July 4th, the city of Darien experienced an extreme rainfall event that produced anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of rain, depending where you were at. In one report, it was 2.4 inches of rain that fell within a 1 hour period. There's another report that's basically close to 4 inches within an hour. Again, it was limited to, I would say, 63rd Street up to Lamont Road, or actually a little further, into the south, probably a little more than I-55, and Willowbrook up to right around Route 83. We were the rain barrel, if you want to say, of this event. The storm was the final and most intense round of a multi-day storm, which was from July 2nd to July 4th. The ground was already saturated, a lot of runoff, which reduced infiltration, resulting in widespread flash flooding. The rainfall intensity overwhelmed portions of the city's storm sewer system, which we've all heard and experienced, roadside ditches, detention facilities, as well as natural overland flow routes. Flooding, of course, resulted in significant street ponding, flooded vehicles, overland, yard flooding, basement flooding through window wells, seepage, and/or foundation openings. Sanitary sewer backups in some areas served by DuPage County sanitary system occurred as well. The areas that were most impacted from a drone view were Holly Park and Birchwood Park. Whereas we've got no reports from homes, with the exception of one that we're currently still trying to get hold of, in respect to home, water that entered the actual home through a front door, back door, patio door, window well, so on and so forth. Obviously, a lot of the older neighborhoods with limited stormwater infrastructure were prone to this. And when I say limited stormwater structure, I'm referring to retention and/or detention ponds. Keep in mind that prior to the 80s, detention was very limited for requirements or the type of requirements. Places such as Brookhaven, Hinswood, do not have the capacity to store 100-year rain events. I'll get into that in a moment. The city, yes, we provided LRS, the city provided LRS to come in with dumpsters. We had, I believe, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, we had 3 dumpsters at the city hall. They were basically transferred out every day once we put that on the website. And I believe we had 3, 6, 9, 12 dumpsters here at the city hall, Brian. I might be a little bit off, but.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they would get filled, they would rotate. I don't remember, Dan, if it was 16 or 20, but it was, since I think the day after, like the 5th or 6th, all the way up until this
Today.
morning.
Yeah, exactly. And we had additional dumpsters at Public Works as well. So those were basically changed on a daily basis after the announcements came out. What did Public Works do? We initiated inspections, evaluations of the city-owned stormwater infrastructure, including streets, storm sewers, and detention facilities. Keep in mind that the perception was that the inlets were clogged. They were not clogged. The system could not take anymore, and in some cases, you would see water that was so high that the pressure of the upstream water, downstream water caused additional surging from the downstream inlets. Residents, what do we do for notifications? We put out something on Direct Connect immediately, which said, City of Darien, please contact us if you have issues involving city streets and stormwater infrastructure. And we also advised residents if they had sewer backups, who to call to DuPage County. Let's discuss a 100-year storm. What does a 100-year storm mean? It's basically a statistical probability, not a storm that occurs once every 100 years. Again, just to reiterate, it represents a rainfall event having a 1% chance of occurring or being exceeded in a given year. Storm frequency is based on geographical location, duration of rainfall, and the rainfall depth. Now, just to put it in perspective, 100-year rain events can equate to hours. 1 hour equals about 2.5 inches of water within an hour. 2 hours is 3.15. We go all the way up to 24 hours, which I believe occurred back in 1980s, where it was over 24 hours, if not longer. We had 8.57 inches in a 24-hour period or plus, and that basically defines what a 100-year rainfall event was. The closest rain gauge that we have in Darien that the USGS recognizes is close to Nantucket in Portsmouth. So the 1 hour rainfall intensity did occur there. Although some say that it did not meet it, it had to have met it. Because there's other reports that basically say we exceeded that, and I'll get to that one in a minute. Again, keep in mind that the soils around the town were already saturated from July, call it from the July 2nd storm events. Detention ponds were already exercised, if you want to say. Downstream, being the Des Plaines River, if you were to go over Cal-Sag over Route 83, you could see how the water was actually flowing through there and how close it was to the upright bridges. I-55, it's basically if you were to take I-55 and draw a line from Portsmouth across I-55, that was inundated. There was no questions asked. The water just could not get downstream far enough. What's a 500-year rain event? Believe it or not, DuPage County and other FEMA agencies, for example, are looking at 500-year rain events. The 5-hour-a-year rain event for a 1 hour fall is 4.71 to 5.28 inches. So, did we have a 500-year rain event on July 4th? The jury's still out. There has been no significant information one way or the other. So if this rainfall for a 500-year rain event was for 3 hours, it'd be equating to approximately 5.0 inches. Now keep in mind, while I did say that the total amount of rain was 6 to 8 inches, that was for that period of July 2nd through the 4th. So very difficult to attain this information, especially when it was not countywide, region-wide. So again, this brings us back to the actual topographical survey for tonight. And let me go back for 1 second here. There was a storm cell near Darien Woodridge border, which produced about 4.9 inches of rainfall in just over 1 hour. So that would capture Aylesworth, Bellor. Again, our concern was how many homes were impacted. The ComEd issues, I sympathize with those people, just like the whole city council does. That's an issue for ComEd, and that's a conversation that I already had engaged our external affairs director with. So we'll be dealing with that tomorrow. A 500-year rain is a 0.2% annual chance. So obviously we're not playing the lotto with this, but it's very slim. Did it happen? Personally, my opinion is yes, in parts of Darien it did happen. Basically, the rain gauges, we're looking to find a better rain gauge. Everyone's rain gauge, our rain gauge was overflowed. Why was it overflow? Well, was it that rain event? Was it the rain event from the day before? So on and so forth. Holiday weekend, nobody's emptying the rain gauges, to be perfectly honest from that perspective. So what are we doing from here? Besides, we have gathered information and we put it into a Dropbox format. And the city council we do not have the availability of putting all this up on the server because of the limits of the actual files. Anyone, meaning residents as well, are more than welcome to come and view these. You know, we would provide you also with a flash drive. Again, I'm not technically savvy with flash drives, so I'm gonna caution myself as I'm saying that. But if anybody wants to come in and view it, be more than happy to have you come in and view any of the significant rain events that we have captured. I'm still looking for the drone shot that I believe was somewhere out there. So if any resident has a drone shot that captured Holly Park and Birchwood, very, very interesting to say the least. Very interesting. So please get that to me if you have it. Again, where are we going from here? Categorizing, and we're implementing which is up for city council review this evening and approval, was for the engineering survey. The engineering survey basically includes up to 5 locations. Those 5 locations are critical locations because it's never happened before. Obviously, we heard about Gale, Linden, we know the circumstances, there's what we call a sag point. What will happen? More than if this occurrence becomes validity, is there an opportunity for a buyout? Yes. Again, that's a long way from here. We're working with Jewel. Jewel was designed as a retention facility. Detention facility, in which case that water overflow onto Darien Lane affected a number of properties there as well. Never happened before. And when I say affected, I'm looking at 1 foot to 4 feet of water on some of the homes on Darien Lane. What compounded that also was Seminole Drive. Seminole Drive goes towards McDonald's. McDonald's couldn't take any more downstream either. And downstreams are regulated. Downstreams are regulated by DuPage County Stormwater Ordinance, which allows one subdivision not to flood another subdivision for these types of events. What does it do to what does it do to make storage? For Jewel, for example, off the cuff, it will be an underground storage facility, and that will be probably a partnership. All these are partnerships. Businesses, DuPage County, as well as the city. And the other location is here, for example. We have now flooded probably 4 times in the course of the last 4 or 5 years. Of those 4 or 5 years, we've made some significant changes. We've worked with DuPage County on trying to get additional inlets. The problem here is that this is a sag point as well. The elevation of this building is too low. What's it gonna take to fix it? Probably underground detention if the capacity is here for it in the city hall parking lot. So that's another underground facility that we could possibly look at. These are big dollars, very big dollars. The other thing, I know we were talking with Mayor Marquez and Administrator Vanna this afternoon. Preliminarily, we're looking at to see if there's an opportunity to reach out to FEMA to see if this could be what's referred to as a localized catastrophic event. Will it qualify? As I stated earlier, a lot of the FEMA, the actual warrants for it, if it gets issued the declaration is made by the governor, many times some of the requirements are they have to be in the millions, not the thousands. Nobody cares about the $1,000, it seems like. They gotta be in the millions. Did we reach that million? Whether it's locally or jurisdictionally, I don't know. Don't know that answer. If we could base it on locally, I would say at the end of the day, yes, we're probably close to 1 million. Again, I can't prove that up. And I don't know what other requirements will be for FEMA, but that's something that we'll take a look at. Unfortunately, insurance companies, I heard time and time again, if the water overtopped your window well, you're not covered. Again, I'm not an insurance broker, so I don't know what all the parameters are, but I'm sure everybody's saying, what do I have insurance for? And especially with people that are not within floodplains. These residents that we have on record right now are not in a floodplain. So that means that they were never designed to flood. They did. So now we're working on part B. First part A, part B, and part C is the budget. So that's all I have this evening. If there's any questions, I think I've covered quite a bit here.
Thank you, Mayor. So Dan, I know, well, first of all, I do want to say, Dan, during this time, you and your staff have been amazing for me. Multiple visits to residents, evaluations of their homes to see what they can do better. I encourage everybody to take advantage of that, to see if there's things that can be done, at least within their home, that can maybe, mitigate some of these problems. So you've been great about that. I mean, even on the 4th of July, I called Dan, I'm like, Dan, I'm getting calls from people with sewer backup. He's like, call this number. I got it out to the people, they called the county, and I have to give the county a little bit of credit. I mean, we're gonna beat them up when we can, but they came that night to a lot of homes on the 4th of July. So I think we've got their ear, and we have to just keep the pressure on. So regards to that, Dan, I mean, I know we're looking at possible monies for in terms of the sewers, sanitary sewer, but even with the sanitary sewers, what can we continue to do to ask them, where is all this stormwater coming from in terms of getting into the sanitary sewers? They're two separate systems in theory, and so why is all this stormwater entering storm sewers? And I'll tell you, if people are illegally pumping pump water into their overhead sewers and doing that, I mean, that could be happening. I mean, people could be doing things illegally out there that we don't know about either. But I think with the types of water we're dealing with, there's got to be major cracks, breaches, something in these sanitary sewer lines that the water's able to get in. Because in the homes that I did look at, it's amazing how diluted they were, which tells you there's a lot of stormwater getting in these sanitary sewers. So, I mean, how do we keep working with them to evaluate our city and say, where can we put liners in? What can we do to keep improving these sewer lines to stop the water from coming in?
And that's a good point, and the point is that, first of all, there's two separate sewer systems in the city. In most municipalities, adjacent to us, they're typically stormwater and sanitary sewer, supposed to be independent of each other. There are towns that have what's referred to as combined sewers. We do not have combined sewers. The sanitary sewers and manholes, by today's standards, are more sealed than they ever were during the early 60s, 50s. Matter of fact, the pipe that they used back in the 50s, 60s was basically what they called butt pipe. And butt pipe was an orange type of pipe that just basically joined together. And there's still residents in Darien that have that. Those residents also have problems sometimes with backup. But getting away from that portion of it, are the older manholes, do they need to be maybe relined? Do pipes need to be relined? County has been doing a lot of that. What their program is exactly, I could not tell you that. I'm sure that they have a study, so we're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna have some discussions with the county in respect to, what is the maintenance system, and, give information out to the residents. A lot of homes that were built, let's say in the 60s, 70s, did you need an overhead sanitary sewer? Probably not, but due to all over the years of the building, things reach capacity. Now, is the capacity limited on the sanitary lines? I don't know that. And I won't even attempt to answer that question, but the overhead sewer program basically allows, to put it in simple terms, your main pipe is here at the street, and your house is currently at the same level with the sanitary sewer. When the sanitary sewer backs up, that water wants to go somewhere. It's gonna go to a space that does not have any water. What is that? Your basement. When you install an overhead sewer, you change the elevation up to here where the main is here. That force of water cannot come back because there's what they call a check valve. It's not your typical check valve as a sump pump, but the same principle that it operates under. Like I said, the mayor and Jerry have mentioned this evening, DuPage County has that program. So we'll be looking at, seeing if there's opportunity for cost participation. So hope that answers that, Jerry.
Well, like I said, I hope they can continue to evaluate their lines and say, because, you know, if 5 people put in the overhead storm sewer and somebody does it, it's just gonna happen again because the water's gotta go somewhere. Now, there's less homes to seek that water's level and, you know, so, I mean, I think the county needs to continue to, you know, like we do with our, you know, we dig ditches, we keep doing things to improve our sewers, they need to keep doing things on their end as well to improve it. So, I mean, whatever pressure we can continue to put on them, we need to do. Yeah.
And I could say, you know, for example, Marion Hills, before we did all the actual ditches in that area, I think a lot of us remember parts of the roadways and homes that were just getting inundated. And we provided more storage through the ditches that were put in place. So, all the other areas for overtopping, they worked. Unfortunately, they were deeper in some cases than ever thought of, but they did work for a limited amount.
Any other questions for Dan? Okay. Move on to our treasurer's report. We have 2 warrants tonight, warrant 262705. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, I'm requesting council's approval of warrant number 262705 in the amount of $1,987,988.91 and payroll for the period ended June 25th in the amount of $350,767.28 for a total to be approved of $2,338,756.19.
Motion to approve. Alderman Shower, second by Alderman Stompanato. Questions or comments regarding the warrant? None, the roll.
Shower.
Aye.
Stompanato.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Gustafson.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Legansky. 6 ayes and 1 absent.
That warrant's been approved. Mike, will you approve?
Requesting council's approval of warrant number 262706 in the amount of $783,927.90 from the listed funds. Payroll for the period ended July 9th, the amount of $349,840.17. Total be approved of $1,133,768.07.
Motion to approve. Alderman Sullivan, second by Alderman Legansky. Again, questions or comments? If none, the roll.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Legansky. Gustafson.
Aye.
Stompanato.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
That warrant has been approved. Takes us to standing committee reports. Do any of the chair people have reports they'd like to give tonight? Alderman Kenny?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, the police committee approved the minutes for the May 15th meeting that we've sent to the clerk's office. It was May 18th, I'm sorry. And our next meeting is scheduled for August 17th, 2026, across the street in the police training room, pending agenda items.
Thank you. Alderwoman Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor. The next Admin Finance Committee meeting will be on Monday, August 3rd at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Conference Room.
Thank you.
And I have, the Municipal Services Committee will meet on Monday, July 27th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Takes us to questions and comments, agenda related. These are the items that are on the agenda. I think we've had a lot of discussion about them. Does anybody want to make a comment about anything that's on this agenda? If not, we move to.
I apologize. I would like to speak to the agenda, if I may.
Army?
You asked if there was anybody who wanted to speak to items on the agenda?
Yeah.
Did I mishear that?
Yeah. Items that are currently on the agenda.
That's correct, yes.
If you'd like to come forward, that's fine.
Perfect, thank you, appreciate that. Hello again. To begin, Mr. Mayor and members of this council, I would like to formally request that item 16F, the Urban SDK subscription, be pulled from the consent agenda for separate council discussion.
What item? Item F?
16F, in your consent agenda, you folks are discussing the Urban SDK subscription, another AI-driven surveillance mechanism. I'll continue with my remarks. I'm back now because there's a second surveillance item on tonight's agenda, and I think that demands the same level of scrutiny. Item 16F is a one-year, roughly $25,000 subscription to a company called Urban SDK. It's a traffic intelligence platform requested by the police department. On the surface, it sounds practical: speed data, traffic volume, identifying problem intersections. But here's what's underneath the surface. Urban SDK doesn't install cameras or sensors. They're sourcing their data from aggregated connected vehicle telemetry, all the new cars that are basically driving cell phones, all that data, harvesting our location data from our cell phone providers. So essentially, we're paying for them to sell our data back to us, and moreover, our analytics back to us. On its face, regardless of whether or not you agree with my policy beliefs or my privacy beliefs, that's ridiculous. We should own our own data, and we should be able to handle our own analysis. Moreover, whether it's collected by Flock, purchased by Urban SDK, or the same by any other similar vendor, location data is not just where you drove. We had this conversation along the lines of Flock as well. Credible research has repeatedly demonstrated that phone and GPS location data can be used to infer deeply personal information. With enough data points, companies like these can predict a person's religion, sexual orientation, health conditions, political affiliations, and personal relationships with disturbing accuracy. So when we say traffic data, we're not talking about a speedometer reading. We're talking about a behavioral profile of every person who moves through this city, this council included. I lost my place. Built without their knowledge or consent, owned by a private company in Florida. Now, this is exceptionally important. Section 13.1 of this contract specifies that the agreement is governed by Florida law with venue in Jacksonville, Florida. And if Darien discovers that Urban SDK misused our data or shared it in violation of Illinois privacy law, we would have to litigate in a Florida courtroom under Florida statutes. Who wants anything to do with Florida? And then there's the data clause. Section 8.4 of the contract grants Urban SDK the right to copy, reproduce, store, distribute, publish, export, adapt, edit, and translate customer data. It further states that the data derived from the service may be used by Urban SDK for any lawful purpose both during and following the term. It sounds eerily similar to the business practices of Flock. That means if Darien cancels this contract, Urban SDK keeps the right to our data. I'd also implore you to explore the sole source justification in your procurement. The document asserting that Urban SDK is the only vendor who can provide this service was written by Micah Dickman, Urban SDK's Vice President of Procurement and Revenue. That's the company's own sales executive certifying that his employer has no competition. That's not procurement, that's a press release. So my asks are this: please pull this item from the consent agenda to discuss it publicly. Direct the city attorney to review the data licensing clause and the Florida governing law provision before this comes to a vote. And overall, do not let AI-driven surveillance technology companies like Flock, Urban SDK, and their competitors infect our community and eliminate our right to privacy. Thank you for the additional time. I really appreciate it.
Is there any interest on the city council's part to move 16F to new business?
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
Okay, fine. You want to move it to new business?
Let's do it. We'll be transparent.
Okay. We will
So
do
that'll
that.
become now
E, it'll become, yeah, it'll
Yes.
become
E in new business.
under new business. Okay, it moves us to the consent agenda. Please bear with me. I have to read every one of these items. Item A, motion granting a waiver of the $50 a day fee for the temporary liquor license for the Darien Women's Club for the 2026 Darien Fest on August 7th, 8th, and 9th. Item B, motion granting a waiver of the $50 a day fee for the Class J temporary liquor license for the Darien Women's Club for the October celebration on October 3rd. Item C, motion granting a waiver of the $50 a day fee for the temporary liquor license for the Darien Lions Club for the 2026 Darien Fest on October 7th, 8th, and 9th. Item D, motion granting a waiver of the $50 a day fee for the Class J temporary liquor license for the Darien Lions Club for the Oktoberfest celebration on October 3rd, 2026. Item E, A motion approving a contract between Windy City Amusements Incorporated and the City of Darien to provide amusement rides for a fall weekend carnival at Chestnut Court Shopping Center from September 25th to September 27th. Item F, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, bicycles, low-speed electric bicycles, and personal mobility devices of Title IX Traffic Regulations of the City of Darien City Code. That was E.
No, that was F. Now that you're on G.
Okay, item G. Motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, between the City of Darien and the Indian Prairie Public Library, adding IPPL as a listed entity to the City of Darien's membership in the IPBC. That was G.
Now you're on H.
Item H, a motion authorizing for the purchase of stackable trench box with sheeting panels for multiple depths for excavation from Lee Johnson Sales Incorporated for $48,326. Item I, a motion authorizing the mayor to extend a contract with Rags Electric Incorporated per the proposed unit prices for the 2026 street light maintenance program through April 30th, 2027. Item J, a motion accepting a proposal from Suburban Laboratories Incorporated for the 2026-2027 bacteriological and chemical radiological LT2 water sampling program in an amount not to exceed $11,760. And item
K.
K, a motion authorizing the purchase of one new white 2027 Ford F-550 4x4 XL from Sutton Ford Incorporated for the amount of $129,726. Motion to approve. Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Stompanato, and the roll.
Shower.
Aye.
Stompanato.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Leganski.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Gustafson.
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
The consent agenda has been approved. Under new business. Item A, a motion authorizing the services of Christopher B. Burke Engineering for topographical survey and cataloging services for property inundated, impacted by the July 4th, 2026 flood event, with the contract unit pricing in an amount not to exceed $20,000. Item B,
You have to do one at a time.
One at a time.
oh, that's right, this is new agenda.
Yes.
Motion to approve. Alderman Sullivan, second by Alderman Shower, in discussion.
So I had asked Dan about this last week, and he was explaining before the agenda came out. And obviously, hearing from many of the I think every resident that's listed on here was here tonight, we heard from them. Is just, obviously this needs to get done immediately, but if there's other areas, you said that you'll, especially based on reports tonight and more communications from residents, if something of this survey nature would be useful, I think we need to get on it immediately as well for other spots, if you think that would help in addressing the water concerns elsewhere.
And while I would agree with 100%, I have not identified anything additional. There may, and I say may be, some additional items from this evening's meeting.
Like
due
the
to the
Aylesworth
media.
area, that's
Right.
not in this.
Right, so, will it cost 5,000 more? Potentially. So, I'll go back to the city administrator and then, explain it, and we could do a follow-up for after the fact expenditure if we need it, back to the city council if that's,
I'm thinking as an alternative, if the city, instead of having to come back another meeting, city council could add a contingency to this, Dan, and let Dan, use his judgment to, for
Or at
other
least if there's
areas.
money left here to do it, but either way, right?
Well, I'm saying if this money runs out, then
Richmond too, that area?
I've got one location there.
So we'd need to amend this
Like
motion?
4 houses.
yeah, I mean, just to decide how much additional contingency
I think you should put another 15 grand in there.
to the council.
Up to 35, yeah.
Now you're looking for 35,000?
You wanna amend it? Ted?
That's fine, that's more than plenty, I mean, yeah, I
It's
cannot
just,
see.
we're talking a 15 grand contingency, you know?
It's fine, yeah, and of course, everything is based on hourly basis, we will see the reports, you will see the hours, you will see the field time.
And Dan,
And
once.
that way then there's no holdup. It
Right,
keeps flowing,
Yeah.
flowing's a bad
If
word.
you've
Keeps
identified
moving.
them, you've got the funds, just continue, right?
And Dan will keep the council updated as we run
Okay.
through the ones he's identified, and if he comes in with another area, we'll just update the council that we've added an area. Dan, you'll just keep everybody updated, yeah.
Let me restate it, a motion authorizing the services of Christopher B. Burke Engineering for topographical survey and cataloging services for properties inundated, impacted by the July 4, 2026 flood event per contract unit pricing in an amount of $20,000 and a contingency fee of $15,000.
Perfect.
Motion to approve then?
Motion to approve. Second. Alderman Shower.
Who was the first?
Mary.
Me.
Further discussion? Roll.
Okay, now we're doing the amendment first with the 15,000 contingency, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, Sullivan,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Leganski.
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
Now we need to vote on the original.
Okay, Sullivan,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Leganski,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
Item A has been approved. Item B, an ordinance approving of a final plats of subdivision and granting final site plan approval for previously approved 16-unit condominium development at 1225 Plainfield Road, PZC 26-12, Darien Crossing LLC, 1225 Plainfield Road. Motion to approve. Alderman Shower, second by Alderman Stompanato, and discussion. Alderman Leganski.
Thank you, Mayor.
Taking so long.
I was a no the first time on this because of, I think it's just, there was too much in the property, so I'm gonna be a no again tonight. Just to be consistent.
What seems to be the holdup on this property too?
Yeah, that's the
The
question.
holdup,
Yeah.
was engineering, so until city staff had engineering fully addressed. Was not coming back to city council, and, we're trying to get the, easements from, the Wildwood and Frank Modell had to provide a piece of easement. Again, all these easements benefit stormwater, is the bottom line. So that was really the extent of it.
And Dan,
And there was a lot of work that the developer had to do for engineering, including structural calculations.
just make sure everybody's clear what the vote is tonight. Really, the vote is that it's in substantial compliance with what the council already approved. So it's not approving the project. The council's voting to approve what they see tonight is in substantial compliance with the preliminary that was
Correct.
approved.
And the protocols are in place. For example, the letter of credit, the letter from Christopher Burke Engineering. So it's just a final protocol that says, okay, this is what was originally, we're finally at the table with a final document. So regardless of, respect to Alderman Leganski's comment regarding the no vote before, he's being just again consistent with a former protocol. So that's basically the gist of it.
I'm gonna ask a question, because it's now a 500-pound gorilla that wasn't there before. How is putting more buildings in an area right now where people are talking about, stormwater and flooding and stuff? Is this, maybe, I'm not sure if the question came out the last time around, but is this in a good spot? And with what you're talking about, the stormwater features with the easement stuff, are we certain that nothing else around it is gonna flood?
The answer is yes, and the answer is yes, because that water right now for that piece of property is not contained for a significant rain event. I'm gonna refer to a 100-year storm event. All that water for a 100-year storm event before it goes downstream needs to be captured within that property, the developments. Once that water's captured, or even during when it's captured, so it might be captured through a 12-inch pipe going into this detention vault. It gets released through, for simplicity's sake, a 3-inch pipe downstream. The overflow routes are the same. So the answer again to your question is yes, it will reduce impact to the adjacent neighbors.
That's plenty to know.
Mary?
So has, you talked about easements with Frank Modell Funeral Home, and then residents in the adjoining neighborhood. So all that's been signed off on?
Yes.
And has there been any more communication or concerns by those property owners about the development?
We had one resident that asked some questions today, those were responded to. So I'm not even sure if they're here this evening. Oh, hi Jackie, how are you? Right? So yes, they are here. So if they have any questions, I believe that we have addressed them all.
Is that correct? Have they been addressed? Hi.
Jackie Price, 7731 Lester Lane. We brought up this to the committee previously, that we're concerned about the parking that is available. All these residents are required in many ways to park in their garages because they can't park in front of their garages. The front of their garages are the driveway for everybody to get to their garages. There are only 7 spaces plus a handicap space for 16 condo units. And there is no other place for any guests to park besides those 7 spaces. And then the next place would be Lester Lane, which is our private road. And that's our largest concern at this point. There are others. We're concerned about all the delivery services pulling on Lester Lane. They still don't know if the county is going to put a pork chop on their entry and exiting of the driveway into the property. So we don't know how that might impact us getting in and out of Lester Lane. Or if they do put a pork chop there, if people are just gonna do a U-turn right at the opening of Lester Lane to try and get back into the condo development. Those are our major concerns. We're always concerned about the water, but Dan just said that's not gonna be a problem.
Yes. As far as, and just those general comments in regards to the pork chops, Jackie is referring to what's referred to us as a right-in, a right-out, or it's gonna be full access, meaning westbound and eastbound traffic will have the opportunity to turn either way. That's a county roadway, we do not have jurisdiction over it. In the event, if this development is approved, then signage, no traffic or something.
No through traffic or?
Yeah, no traffic beyond this point, Lester, something to Lester Lane residents only. So that's something that could be installed. As far as U-turns, a typical U-turn, I don't know what the laws are on a specific intersection in that respect, not at a traffic light, but at an intersection. We could always have DuPage County put up no U-turns allowed. So that to me is a minor concern. As far as parking goes, again, and I can let Brian speak to this. My understanding is, and I'm convinced that it's met the actual parking requirements of the city code, first of all, and this was what was originally approved, if I'm not mistaken, or they increased the parking since?
I think there's one extra space. Originally, last year, there were 8 guest parking spaces. There are no guest parking spaces required in our code for multifamily dwellings, only a 2 stall per unit count. And so they're providing, I believe, 9 based on the count provided by the developer in their final plan.
I would say that the problem with that is when you talk about where people are gonna park in a multi-dwelling unit, typically there's parking spaces allowed for their cars. This condo development doesn't have much storage for any individual unit provided in the building itself. And so you would anticipate that people might use their garages for some of that storage, which might make their garages less accessible for them to automatically be parking in. So I know it's not required, you told me that, I understand that. I still think it's gonna be a problem, and I think we're gonna have the problem on our street.
Well, that part, again, the no parking on the street, I know that developer also owns part of the, and I'm not gonna get into the logistics of the argument. We look at the city code, we look at the engineering, and a lot of the items that you speak of have been approved, and it's been actually, the garages were moved, for the city council suggestion. So it isn't what we refer to in our world as substantial compliance. We
I
don't,
understand that, yeah.
we don't have the availability to say, hey, developer, you gotta put in 10 more spaces because we think that you're gonna need them. But at the same time, Jackie, you know me for a long time, and we'll make things work out. If there's approval, we'll make things work out on Lester Lane for sure, including those the landscape plan, which I told you that's still, coming, or being revised.
So two things, one is that you did mention where the landscaping is still intended to go in. We do have concern that it might be sitting right on the water main, the water line that serves we have a community well on this block. So the water line runs straight down south.
It's pretty close to the roadway, so we wouldn't be, the existing water line, the 2-inch existing water, I think it's 2-inch, right? Whatever, it's immaterial, 2-inch water line, let's say, it's towards the edge of the road. So those trees will be planted back, I should say, 2 to 4 feet, depending on where it comes out at with the mouth of the intersection. So more than likely be 5 foot back. And again, that's just simple logistics, and developer, I'm sure, would be more than happy to come out there and say, hey, we're gonna improve this area with grass/trees, arborvitae's, which would be a minimal of 6 to 8 foot tall, is a standard.
Just one last point of business. When we left the last city council meeting, there was a lot of discussion about having more parking around the entrance to the building. And I think the packet was uploaded today, yesterday, so this was the first time we got to look at it. And the parking is actually now at least 100, I would say, I don't know, I'm looking at the map, 150 feet away from any of the doors. So that seems like the parking got worse for any visitor.
Well, just to address that, the discussion from the minutes of that council meeting on May 5th were to move the garages closer to the building, which the developer did. What was moved further away were the guest parking spaces.
Thank you.
Mary?
Yeah, and then just going back to Lester Lane, cause I've, when this first came about prior to us, meeting and even planning and zoning, I had been down that street before, but I went down it again, cause clearly with it being a dead end, any traffic that goes down has to turn around basically in someone's driveway. I mean, there's no like little roundabout at the end. So I just think it's real important for the residents on Lester Lane is even like during construction, not like waiting till like it's move-in ready, that it's signage is clearly put in place that no one should be going down that street unless it's residence use only. Whether it's, construction traffic or even, eventually Amazon trucks. I just think we need to protect the interests of the residents on that block that they don't get extra traffic.
And I would agree 100%, and that to me is, I'll call it logistics, and before the developer gets any building occupancy, those are things that we will put in place, and if there's a problem, we'll identify it during, I hate to say it, during the construction.
Right.
But yeah, the developer will have No construction traffic beyond this point. There'll be limited landscape equipment, obviously, for the Lester Lane area. So that's something to be expected.
You have a gentleman in the audience got a question.
May I just ask, that condo building, would the water drain to the east towards Cass Avenue, or does it drain west towards?
South.
So it goes direct south, it won't go to the Cass Avenue?
Further discussion? You have a motion and a second. The roll.
Shower,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Leganski.
No.
I have 5 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 absent.
The ordinance, the item has been approved. Item C, an ordinance approving a final plat of subdivision for the former TGI Fridays lot located at 2201 75th Street into 2 lots to accommodate the approved Dutch Brothers Coffee House and Andy's Frozen Custard Development, PZC 2613, RCG Darien PM LLC, 2201 75th Street. Motion to approve. Alderwoman Sullivan, second by Alderman Shower, and discussion.
What's taking so long?
What?
Get this thing going, getting this torn down.
They have all,
City.
they have all their plans approved and they're ready to,
City council approved plats again, that's why we put it on new business.
they got their plans approved, the
Okay.
first submittal. So it's just a matter of, formal legal approval for the subdivision.
To divide it up, right? No discussion, the roll.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Leganski,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
5 ayes and 1 absent.
Item's been approved. Item D, an ordinance prohibiting the use of groundwater as a potable water supply by the installation or use of potable water supply wells or by any other method within a certain area in the city of Darien, Illinois, amending Title 6C, Water Division, Chapter 5, Regulation of Potable Water Supply Wells in a designated area of the city of Darien, RE 402 West Plainfield Road. Motion to approve. Alderman Shower, second by Alderman Leganski. Discussion. If none, the roll.
Shower,
Aye.
Leganski,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
5 ayes and 1 absent.
Item E, motion to approve a one-year.
6 ayes. I'm sorry, 6 ayes, 1 absent.
I'm sorry.
You said 5.
I did. I said it incorrectly.
6
I
ayes.
wrote 5 also. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A motion to approve a one-year subscription with Urban SDK Traffic Intelligence Platform in an amount not to exceed $24,750 using consulting professional services budgeted funds. Motion to approve. Alderman Stompanato, second by Alderman Kenny, and discussion.
Mr. Mayor, we've had a trial run with this very small portion of the city. Deputy Chief Jump has been spearheading this. We had this item on at our police committee meeting tonight. We didn't have any public comment, no residents showed up for that. We talked to the chief about this. Well, one of the questions we did ask is, were they able to, if a person calls up and says, there's speeding on my block between these 2 streets, in the old days, they would have the police come out and they'd radar, send manpower there. Municipal services, Dan's people would put up, stuff to a cost which is far greater than over the course of a year, it's far greater than $24,000. The one question I asked in this meeting today, just double check on it, is they're looking for traffic goes, but the speed within the 85 percentile of the formula for speed. if it doesn't make those, if it meets those numbers, then they can say, yes, we can, at 11 o'clock in the morning, these numbers are at, say, the 90 percentile, whatever the number is. But there's no direct identification of who that person is. The fact that it's, we heard from Drew Kelly here this evening. Now, Drew Kelly is not somebody who's just, he's just, the city council, I'll call him friend, because Drew Kelly's also been in this room, and he's always held us to the fire for things. If Andrew Kelly, tonight fought on that, and because he trusts us and he trusts our city council and he trusts our city with it, and I trust us and Trump. The one thing I also know is that everybody's worried about this thing. We've got these things sitting here. If you really have,
That's where they're getting it from, that thing.
right, well then, listen, guys, if you're really that concerned about it, we'll call AT&T up. We'll start putting coin-operated phones on the corners again, and you can just get rid of your cell phones. But in the meantime, I'm voting for this because I don't see anything bad with this technology.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, I feel like so many meetings, especially like we've had people come in with 69th Street and the speeding, and we've done mitigations, and even in my ward on Oldfield, and there's forever people wondering about speed, and then, you get the study, but was it done long enough? But I guess just to go back to, we spent a lot of our evening hearing from the audience about the license plate readers, but this is obviously a completely different item. This, and I read it, but I just want to be reinforced that from Police Chief Thomas, that this is, and by no means capturing whose car, what kind of car, the person in the car. It's just strictly counting the vehicle. Or the.
Correct, it's using GPS data in order to make that capture. It's not capturing like a license plate or anything like that. So that statement is correct.
So like, hypothetically, a car is going like 3 times over the speed limit. There's no way to track down who that person was and give them a ticket after the fact because you don't know who that car was. You just know a car went by doing a high speed.
Correct.
Okay.
So then what's the value of the data if it's not an enforcement mechanism?
That car out the next day.
What happens is that
There's a pattern.
last meeting, we had a demonstration of how it works. So it will be proactive and it will say speeding on, in fact, that was an example of it. Speeding on Cass Avenue.
Yeah, at 11 o'clock.
And then it'll show heat maps of density, day to week, hour to day, and miles per hour over the 80%. We'll also, if somebody calls in and talks to one of the aldermen about speeding on 67th Street, we can then put in some parameters of, 4 weeks prior to the date and that date, and look at the 4 weeks to see speeding in there. And if you look at the last page of the monthly report, you'll see, I think currently there's probably 8, 9, 10 locations just like that, where people will call in to speeding in their neighborhood. Sometimes it's real, sometimes it's just a perception, sometimes it's one vehicle, and then all of a sudden it happens every day, all day. And so that's the purpose of doing that, is to reduce that problem. Alderman Kennedy is right, is that in the past, we would get that notice. Dan's personnel would go out and put those pneumatic counters on the road. You've seen those before, the driver would have them. Send it off the air and makes it count. So now, and then we would send out personnel to run radar or do some type of enforcement.
And I just think back to like my South Frontage Road situation where we've done traffic studies. So this is not just about speeding, it's about traffic volume too. And the county's done it, because that's the biggest concern right now by these residents, because you've got Argonne there, you've got Waterfall Glen. And so usually just capturing little blips in time, where something like this, I feel like could give us a much greater picture of what's going on in that particular area. And there's other areas too, but.
Sorry, Chief, one question, I know you might have mentioned it, I'm sorry. The difference between the two too is the flock program, you have an agreement, you have authority, they put cameras out. Here, they have this data regardless of us, this company. Yeah, I mean, they have it, the council agreeing to this has no difference in them getting the data. We're not making it easier for them to get the data or anything. I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Chief Thomas, could you explain consulting and professional services budgeted funds so people understand where the money's coming from, what that is?
There's a line item in the budget for consulting and professional services, and there's a number of those different ones with QCOM, our 911 center, youth services, and a bunch of different ones.
Okay, because it was a different terminology and I wanted the public to understand that. Yes, ma'am.
So what are the potential results and solutions after this study happens? Are we gonna be like downtown Chicago that puts in like speed cameras and stuff in neighborhoods and just sends out tickets? Like, if we're gonna do a study, like we're looking for an end result and what's on the table that is a potential outcome from this study?
It's a good question. The speed cameras cannot be used in any location other than Chicago by statute, so we wouldn't be able to put them up even if we wanted to, and we don't want to. What was the second part of that? There's any number of things. So we can look at any kind of traffic calming process, whether it's a yield sign, a stop sign, as simple as allowing parking on the streets, because then it narrows the width of the street. There's a number of different ways of attacking that. A lot of conversations in the police department is problem solving and not enforcement. So going out and writing a ticket doesn't necessarily solve the problem, problem solving. So just real basic. Came from Aurora and Galena and Orchard Road had a lot of accidents, 80 accidents, I don't remember, but I think it was 87, whatever, it doesn't matter. And officers went out there and enforced, and you're not fixing the problem. So an officer went out there and looked, and it was right turns, eastbound or westbound, Galena to northbound Orchard Road. And the stop bar for through traffic was here, the stop bar for right turns was here. You couldn't see down before they made the right turn. All we did was paint over the white stop bar for through traffic, moved it back about hour length or so. Accidents dropped to like 4. Tremendous stuff. So you have to have that data in order to start making decisions on speed limits.
Speed bumps?
Sure, that's a speed bumps, speed humps, and speed tables. There's a number of different ones. Again, those are all options. They have their drawbacks with plowing during the winter and all these different types of things. The height of them, we had some in Aurora again, the ambulance couldn't get down because every time the back end was stepped up in order to get the patient in, would drag across it, so we had different things to fix. They're good, a lot of those things are good, but they have to be in the right circumstances.
I truly understand that these things do offer the benefits that you're suggesting. I genuinely believe they do in a way that other technology to date has not been able to achieve. However, what I am suggesting is this is a Faustian bargain in which the city of Darien is selling its data insights to a private entity that will own them forever, that is based in a municipality in a jurisdiction that is not our own. So I genuinely
understand that argument, and I will research that and see ownership and what they can do with the data.
I appreciate that, thank you.
And I'll verify the other two things.
I will, if I may, I'd like to submit I'll email you my remarks so you have everything in full. I think give me your
I took
right,
note
we'll
that
continue this conversation.
your remarks are fine.
Okay, I'm gonna call the question. We have a motion and a second?
Yes, we do.
Let's take a roll.
Okay, Stompanato,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Leganski,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 absent.
Item's been approved. Takes us to number 18, questions, comments, and announcements of a general nature. Does anybody in the audience have anything of a general nature that they want to share? Yes, ma'am. Would you come forward?
Please, go.
I think this is my third, maybe fourth meeting. It is so hard to hear you guys back here. So hard. Mary, you speak loud and clear, very easy to hear you. Mr. Gombach, super easy to hear you. Everyone else, I'm in the second row and it's hard to hear you. I feel like there has to be better microphones and speaker like I see
We've ordered speakers, they're to be delivered and set up, yes.
perfect, because we cannot hear you. Like, and which is why I come up and I'm yelling, because I assume no one can hear me back there, because all I hear is you guys talking like this.
We have a consultant
I'm
that's,
gonna go home tonight. My wife's gonna tell me I didn't hear a word you said.
So, if
we
you,
have a consultant who does that type of work for us, and I will follow up tomorrow to
perfect,
see if the speakers are in order, if they're in.
speakers are definitely not on.
No, they're not in, I don't see them.
What's, what
There'll
are
be,
those
there'll be
ones?
speakers like that, but additional.
Oh, okay, cause those ones aren't doing it.
Actually, the way it's set up, this thing right here is the speaker. And if you go past the first row, it becomes harder to hear.
Yeah, I bet most of the people in the back didn't hear anything that anybody's saying.
Appreciate the information.
This could be the speakers not up though.
Wow,
Can't see.
good point. Anybody on the council have anything? I'd like to announce that a week from Friday, no, actually 2 weeks from Friday, is the Darien Fest. Darien Fest is August 7th, 8th, and 9th. This year it's being held in front of Hinsdale South High School. We're closing off Clarendon Hills Road from Elm to 75th Street. It's gonna be one of our largest Darien Fests that we've ever held. It'll be a 250th anniversary celebration theme. We have the Hinsdale South Band that'll be participating. A lot of vendors. We have over 10 food vendors. We'll have a business expo. So mark your calendar for Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday night, August 7th, 8th, and 9th. Yes, sir.
Will they ever reschedule the fireworks that they had to cancel on July 4th?
That's Woodridge and Downers Grove, and they told me they're saving them for next year to make them even better.
Labor Day. We don't participate in that.
We don't.
No. And I have a cousin that lives near there. We can see him from his backyard, and he doesn't want me to come anymore because Darien's not contributing for how many years now?
I
Not
get,
allowed there.
I get bugged by the mayor of Woodridge and the mayor of Downers Grove every year to put in our, a couple of years ago, it cost $8,000 for 3 minutes of fireworks. It's a lot of money.
The concert, the second Darien Summer Concert is on Thursday, July 30th, which is a week from this Thursday, starting at 6 p.m. The music starts at 6:30 at Carriage Greens and the North Parking Lot. So please come out and enjoy. First concert was a huge success, beautiful weather, and a great atmosphere.
Was it well attended?
Very well attended.
Good. Anything else?
I was out of town.
Motion to adjourn, Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Leganski. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, folks.